How mean is that? You know what's funny? Bill Gore goes, I haven't seen him in 18 years. He has no idea. I just took his head off in a fucking ballroom before Murph and the Magic Tones come on. And until then, don't go change it.
Schmitty Comes Alive. Available only on the Joe Business page at MikeSchmidtComedy.com.
Oh, yeah. I am awake and alive. I'm so great I gotta say it twice and cut it out once. My head's a syrup bottle that's getting tipped over every Wednesday. You're a storyteller in a storytelling podcast, and the only story you're telling now is a story about stories you don't want to tell. What the fuck? Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-year-old boy podcast. Folks, we have an issue here. We have a thing to talk about, all right? Because I don't want to be here long. I wanted to try to get through this and blaze through it because there's all sorts of things that I have to do tonight. It's a Wednesday. I'm very popular. You know me. So in my head, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do tonight and how I could get out of here on time. And I wanted to be here by 3 o'clock at Lily's house because last week's show, I will tell you, was effortless. I was in and out. I got here at like 3, and I was out of here by 7:30 and home, and everything was cool. And, I'm not fucking Dagwood Bumstead. It's not like I got to be home on a chair at a certain time and have my wife give me a martini. Did he drink? I don't know if he drank. He had a big sandwich. Maybe he had a martini in that sandwich. It was a gigantic sandwich, folks. If you've ever seen a Dagwood Bumstead sandwich, holy shit, anything could be in it. Because did they have kids? They had a girl named Tootsie or something, right? I don't know. That's a comic strip from the 1911s. I mean, why am I even caring about Blondie and Dagwood Bumstead? Because when you're a little kid, that's the first thing you jerk off to is Blondie. No, it's not really. By the way, speaking of Blondie, let's talk about this. I have XM and Sirius, and there's my new favorite station that I've been listening to for over the past couple of months is little Steven Van Zant's Underground Garage. Because there's Pearl Jam Radio, which I listen to, and Springsteen Radio, and then there's Classic Rewind, and all the hit stations, whatever the fuck, the 80s, 60s, 70s, 90s, 40s. Yes, my wife listens to the 40s. There's nothing worse. Nothing worse. Because my wife, I drove to Philadelphia to the airport in my car, and then she drives it back, and then when I get home, first of all, the mirrors are all fucked up. She adjusts the seat because that's easy because there's 2 buttons on my door where you can push. I'm number 1 and she's number 2, and if you push 2, it scooches up to where she can drive. But if you push number 1, of course, it goes back to fucking Lowriderville where I drive. And then she doesn't adjust the mirrors, which is fine because when I get in her car, I don't adjust the mirrors. But also, I'll turn on the radio, and as I mentioned, it's either on Kiss FM, which is, I have satellite radio that I pay for, and it's either on some local station, or if she does bother to use the satellite radio, it's on the 40s station. So it's like, you turn it on, it's like, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Honestly, I don't, because I'm the only thing you could have that I would want to hear on my radio from the 40s is the Japanese bombing Pearl Harbor. That's the only thing I would want to hear. If there was a station called Pearl Harbor Radio, and it was literally just the entire day of radio reports and actual sound of the bombs going off at Pearl Harbor, I'm in. I listen to that. That's a soundtrack that I don't mind tuning into. Or war reports. That's actually not a bad idea if I called Sirius XM. If you just had like tragedy radio, who the fuck wouldn't listen to that? I would listen. I mean, well, let's be honest. This show could actually be called Tragedy Radio. I'm honestly the flagship show of Tragedy Radio. You got to run this podcast in the evenings, of course. I could be the host of that because they have an old time radio show network, and there's one dude who hosts it. Greg Bell, I think is his name, and he's on. 24 hours a day, you hear his voice. But it's obviously he goes in and he cuts that stuff and he tapes it in the beginning of the week or however the fuck he works his life. But it's not like he's in an old-time radio booth all fucking day. How great would that be? Hold on. That's actually not a bad life to live. You just throw in a box of Ritz crackers and go, all right, play Fibber McGee and Molly. We'll be back in an hour and a half. And he's just fucking ravenously working through crackers and drinking. Or actually, he has to eat shit from the past. You know what I mean? He's got to eat like something in aspic. That's what he has to have. Everything in aspic. Oh, awful. But yeah, man, if you have Tragedy Radio, this, first of all, again, like I said, this is the flagship show of Tragedy Radio, and then I'll be on all day, and I'm like a disc jockey who's bringing you tragic things from the past. That's fucking brilliant. Like because I'm fascinated by old. How many times have you gone to YouTube and watched 9/11 clips for 4 hours? All right, maybe you haven't, but I have. I've done it. I'll go in and I'll watch the news reports because there's nothing better than Matt Lauer going, oh, when the fucking second plane hits. It's the craziest thing because they're on the phone with a woman when it happens. They're talking to a woman and she's like, I saw this. I saw a plane and then she goes, oh my God, a second plane just hit. And then they show the fireball and you hear Matt Lauer freak out. It's awesome. And then you can also hear then you can revisit all the things that they thought had happened when they were just like, hey, did you hear? There's a truck bomb outside the Pentagon. And then like 2 hours later, they're like, no, I guess it was a plane. You know what I mean? Like, because in the moment, they're reporting all this crazy shit. They're just like, oh my God, I don't know if you've heard Godzilla has just stomped on the Pentagon. Wait a second, it was a plane. Hold on, we think it was a plane. We're not sure. So that would be great on Tragedy Radio if you played all the fucking old radio clips and stuff of things that happened. And how many, come on, there's a ton to choose from, right? And I'm not saying you got to play Hitler speeches or anything like that because that's fucking ridiculous. That just whips people up into a frenzy. We can't have that. And plus, you can't have a Hitler speech because you don't want to get hit with all the spittle coming out of your radio speakers. How did anybody listen to that dude? He's spitting all over that whole crowd. When you see Hitler's gigantic crowds that he's speaking to, that's because people are going, look, the first 3 rows are there to hear Hitler speak. The rest of them are there to laugh at the first 3 rows for getting spit on by Hitler. Literally, none of them cared about his message. None of them cared what he had to say. They're just there and excited to see people get spit on by Hitler. It was called, because he was called Spitler for a long time. He was called Spitler in that country. He wasn't even taken seriously. But then, of course, some renegade dude showed up, and then they decided, hey, let's go ahead and blame the Jews for all of this, and then that happened. By the way, that is the worst description of the Holocaust you will ever hear in your life. And then that happened. As an aside, folks, let's mention the murder of 6 million people. And then that happened. All that nonsense took place. See, why don't you have that on the radio? Because that's exactly how they described it. Because that's why they were able to turn their blind eye to it for so long. Everybody's like, oh, all that's happening in Germany. Until finally someone went, hey, you know what's really happening in Germany, don't you? How did I spear off into the Holocaust? Jesus Christ. Because look, folks, I have a general idea of what I'm going to talk about usually. Holocaust never on the list. Never. I mean, there's always the possibility it may creep in because the Holocaust is never far from my mind, and for any of us. Because you know why? Never forget. You're never supposed to forget the Holocaust. You're never supposed to forget 9/11. Look, they want me to remember a ton of this shit. And you know how you can remember all that stuff? Tragedy Radio. That's how. That is the perfect way to not forget. 91.1 on your FM dial. Tragedy Radio, right there. All right. I had something I was talking about before I turned into that.
Picking up Karen, having your car, and 40s.
Oh, it's awful. So Lily, I was going to start this show. Like I said, I wanted to get rolling. I wanted to get here on time and start talking. And then Lily, of course, has to tell me all this stuff about her life, whatever. But then she's like, are you ready to go? And I said, yes. And so I'm sitting here and I'm at the microphone and we talked. I'd like to, it's so stupid. You would think before the show I wouldn't want to talk, but that's all I do is I show up and I talk to Lily for 45 minutes and then we do the show. Because I actually get to talk to somebody at that point, I guess. Maybe that's why. I like to have an exchange before I get to come on here and bore you folks to tears with Holocaust Radio. Don't Auschwitz that dial. All right. That sounded like Switch, right? All right.
Oh, yeah.
Close. All right. So here's a phrase you never want to hear out of your friend, any friend at all, but particularly Lily. All right. I'm sitting here and I'm ready to start the show. And she's, you ready? And I go, yeah. And she just goes, oh, there's this magician who owns a van. And I'm, oh no, I don't care what's about to happen. Stop right there. Freeze that sentence in its tracks. Nothing you say after that is going to add value to the front of it. There's this magician who owns a van. Because, quite frankly, you know what would interest me more? If you said, there's this magician who doesn't own a van. Because the only people buying vans in this country are serial killers and magicians. And believe me, check out the Venn diagram on those sometime. There's very little underlap. It is all overlap. Magicians and serial killers. Whoop. Anybody in their life who's learned a rope trick has had the thought of moving forward into the serial killer realm. Card tricks will not allow you to kill children. Not. I mean, very rarely. Anyway, very rarely. If you do a card trick, you can get a kid to frisk you maybe, and then you get your jollies that way because that's what magicians like to do. Why are you? I love the fact that you are like you stand up for the magicians. No, it isn't. Your dying breath.
For the magicians.
Of course you do. All right. And I have no idea why Kevin McDonald from Kids in the Hall said, no, it isn't a second ago. I have no idea. He's just here watching. He shouldn't be bursting in and putting his voice into this show. This is a solo show, McDonald. Go tend to your farm. A comedy farm. Kids on the farm. That's what Kevin McDonald should be doing now. Jesus Christ, shut the fuck up. What is wrong with you? Lily has she's got her hand on her chin just scoffing at this point. What did I want to tell you guys? Oh, I'll tell you this. Here's what I saw on the way. I saw this last week, and I think I started to tell you about it, and I didn't get to. Here's why I loved to live in Los Angeles / Hollywood. I was driving here, and you remember the street where I beat up a car? That's Highland Avenue. That happened a long time ago, thankfully, and it has not happened since. I'm so glad. I also must tell you this. Lily is wearing a ton of makeup on her face because she's practicing to be the Bride of Frankenstein this weekend. And she's that for a week at the Magic Castle. So again, like I said, if you want to go to the Magic Castle and see Lily as the Bride of Frankenstein, do that. And I'm seeing test makeup of that character, and she's got this crazy unibrow that goes all the way across her head. All right, yeah. There's all right. Bat wings. I mean, they're really.
1939, Bride of Frankenstein.
Those I would describe these eyebrows on Tragedy Radio. That's exactly because they're from 1940 apparently. Oh, the humanity. Who wouldn't listen to the Hindenburg call going over? Because that's the thing. We've all heard the Hindenburg crashing, and everybody's like, oh, the humanity. I want to hear the buildup. I want to hear like the Matt Lauer of 1921 going, Vodio, the blimp is coming, doodly-doo, it's going to be amazing, and then crash, and then all the humanity guys screaming his lungs out. That's what I want to hear. Because it's like, if you ever listen to old-time radio, if you listen to like War of the Worlds, it's basically a fake compilation of radio broadcasts regarding the aliens landing on Earth. And it's fascinating to listen to, at least for me, because I'm an old man inside. But if you did that with real stuff, like real tragedy and real news, that'd be the fucking greatest. Tragedy radio on Sirius XM? God damn it, it's perfect. We're here now, waiting for the blimp to land. The Hindenburg, the most amazing creation. Oh, the human! Come on, you wouldn't hear the build-up? I'd listen to that for hours. The Lusitania is on its way. It's lost at sea! I mean, somebody screamed for everything, right? That's how they used to do journalism back in the day when they would report a tragedy. It was because it was a variation of the media came from the town crier. The town crier would walk out and he'd be like, 4 o'clock and all is well. 5 o'clock, the humanity, a blimp crashed. So that's what the media did. They just ran with it because they would be like, okay, everything seems to be fine, and there's some zoning issues that are being described. And then they went to, the Holocaust, it's unbelievable. Although I don't think there was one news report about the Holocaust. I think that kind of bled out, I should say, over like several years, where they kind of went, because they sent their sleuths over with magnifying glasses and started finding bones. And they're like, what's happening over here? And Hitler said, don't worry about it. And then their eyes were blinded with spit, and then they came back to America. They came back to America on a cargo ship. And what's that in the distance? It's the largest steamship ever. It's the Titanic. Oh, the Titanic, the humanity. These guys are on a boat. They're like, this is amazing. We just went and looked at the Holocaust, and now we're heading home, and there's the Titanic crashing. Why is this all happening now? I'll tell you, that is a reporter who is on the scene, folks. Because they always said the on-your-scene reporter, the reporter who visited the Holocaust and then got on a steamship to come back to America and saw the Titanic sink, that guy is on the scene. He's truly on the scene. But how great would that be on the radio? You hear like that quiet, like people discussing things for a while, and then they're like, oh no, my God. You would tell me you wouldn't listen to, like, because I told you, when I watch TV and the news happens, like when there's a news report, it's breaking, dude, that scares the shit out of me. When I was a little kid, I told you one of the most frightening moments of my life was it was 1 a.m. and I was awake at my house alone. Everybody else was in bed. And I was watching Channel 2, like for some movie, who the fuck knows, and they cut in on the Friday night movie with a live stand-up from John Wayne Gacy's house. who I didn't know at the time what it was or who he was, but they started talking about that was the first time I think I ever heard the word crawl space in my life. Like, I didn't know what it was. We had a basement in my house. We didn't have a crawl space. And when they started talking about finding bodies in the crawl space, dudes, I'm just that phrase. And I was like, what the fuck was I, 12? And you start hearing about them. They're finding, it's 1 a.m. I'm alone, like in the living room watching with the, all the lights out. And fucking, they talk about bodies in the crawl space. Tell me, dude, Halloween is coming up. You wouldn't listen to a news report about John Wayne Gacy to scare the shit out of yourself? I would. That'd be fucking amazing. Oh, dude, I had a horrible Halloween. Well, all right, I should tell this story. All right. No, I shouldn't tell this story. It's dumb. No, because it's not even. All right. So here's Halloween is coming up, and I'll tell you this now because next week is Halloween, and I won't be here. I'll just tell you that right now. There's going to be next week. Part of me will be here. I mean, I'll do some talking, but it's a clip show next week, folks. I'll tell you that because I don't know if I've mentioned my friend Lily's magician friend has a van now. For Halloween, the two of them are going out all over the countryside and stealing candy from children. Lily dressed up with her 1939 eyebrows. And trailing behind them is a guy in a news van. Oh, I can't believe it's happening! Children are being stolen by a magician and a stripper in a van! Oh, the humanity! That guy gets his magnifying glass out, looks around. All right. Because that's when you're in the media, it's the first thing they hand you. A press pass, second thing, a pork pie hat, third thing, magnifying glass. All right, so... So, you say it's not true, but you're not in the media. God damn it, you don't know.
I used to be.
Yeah, used to be. But you know what? You missed orientation day. That's why you're not in it anymore. Because they called you on the carpet. They said, hey, you're not media. And you said, yes, I am. They said, pork pie hat. You said, got it. They said, press pass, right here. They said, magnifying glass. And you emptied your pockets. You turned them out like the Monopoly guy when he owes $10 for losing a beauty contest. Whatever the fuck he owes. And they said, take a walk. Mustache. That's what your head looks like right now. It looks like Clark Gable made out with your forehead. She's got these two like pencil thin, long fucking mustaches. It doesn't look like he made out. It looked like he was just rubbing his face on your forehead. Like he gave your forehead a Brumsky. Like he missed. Clark Gable needs glasses. That's the thing. Clark Gable needs glasses, so he fucking Brumskied your forehead instead of your tits. And now he's like, he left his mustache all over it. And then he took his halitosis walking. Did you hear that about Gable? Bad teeth. Bad breath on Gable. You didn't hear it on the news? Oh, Clark Gable, the humanity! Who's this on the red carpet for the Oscars in 1931? It's Clark Gable, and the microphone is melting. The humanity! Gable! Buy a toothbrush, Gable! So he Brumskis Lily, and he leaves this pencil-thin mustache on her face. Gable. No, I like it. It's good. It's kind of hypnotizing. You look like the Raven or something. Yeah. Oh, that's a cool face. That's like a vampire face because they look very vampirish. Vampire from Ed Wood movies. All right.
Halloween.
It's coming up. It's coming up next week. I understand.
You were gonna tell me Halloween.
Well, no, I was going to tell something else now with Gable. Oh, fucking Gable. Let's talk about that for just a second, dude. All right, let me say this. I wanted to Twitter this for weeks. And I've sat on it because I'm like, I can't say, 140 characters won't say it enough for me. I have to tell you about it. Folks, there are things that you out there that you think are unruinable. All right? Because they are so perfectly self-contained and so exactly what they should be that you couldn't possibly ruin it. And you think that they know how perfect it is and they wouldn't possibly do anything to tamper with the formula because you would ruin it. All right? Case in point, the show Cheaters. Have you ever seen the reality show Cheaters, folks? Here's what the show is. It's a show hosted by a guy named Joey Greco. And he plays it completely seriously. Joey Greco is the host, and what they do is they are hired by people to follow their spouses or their significant others and find out if they are cheating on them. Then they have surveillance, and they gather some evidence, and then they show that person the evidence, and then they go and confront the boyfriend or girlfriend in a public place, and then someone gets a drink thrown on them, and then there's much yelling, and then they go to commercial. It's you could set your fucking watch by it, all right? And sometimes it's better than normal, and sometimes it's worse, but there's a general expectancy level of what you're going to find on Cheaters, and you're never disappointed. Because I tell you, you know what you're going to find on Cheaters? That's what you're going to find on Cheaters. You can't find a more perfect creature on television because it opens and there's this solemn music and Joey Greco walks out and he goes, I am Joey Greco with Cheaters. Lily Von Stupp has called us from and they tell you she has a boyfriend, and they write it, and it's a really well written intro, and then they throw it to the fucking white trash idiot. And by the way, it's always this. The show opens with white people and ends with black people. Always. It's just, I'm telling you, watch the show. It is not, it's a formula that you could recite in your sleep. And they've branched out because they had Cheaters, okay, in the television show, but now they have cheaters.com where they actually have Cheaters PIs, and they sell you software you can like locate texts. Believe me, it's a cottage industry of playing on people's fears. And it's brilliant because that's what we've become as a society is we're all worried and scared about what the fuck is going to happen, whether it's terrorists or people cheating on us. So they send you this software, you can buy it. And they also have forums where you can meet other people who were cheated on or meet a boyfriend or a girlfriend. They've completely used cheaters.com as a springboard for the internet to bring themselves into the virtual world as well as come to you once a week on television. But it's not even once a week because it was once a week. There's an hour show, and now they've syndicated a half-hour version that was on G4 for a long time, and it's on all the time, constantly. And it's on Saturday night at midnight. It has been on here in LA forever. Karen and I used to TiVo it and watch it because it was just fucking ridiculous. And I'll tell you this too. It's fake. All right. A lot of it is fake. A lot of the couples, you can always tell it's fake because, but I will tell you this, some of them aren't fake. All right. And here's why. Because you can tell real rage and you can see real sadness. Fake people will be like, what's up, dude? What's up, dude? And then they have one of those fake little kid fights and they wrestle to the ground. Okay. But then you'll see a fight and a guy will one punch knock out a dude. And you're like, that was real because there's no way actors would venture into one punch knockout territory. You can tell the actors because they won't punch. They'll be like, what's going on? Who's this? Who's this? And they'll yell and they'll push and they'll shove and they'll scream and they'll what do they do?
I like that you grabbed your balls as you did that.
Well, yeah, because you got to.
Yo,
Because these are meatheads. That's what they do. They all grab their balls and they fucking yell and that's that. It's involuntary. It just happens. Watch Cheaters. Half the time I watch Cheaters, my balls are in my hand and it's like, yeah. And so it's this so it opens with the show. They do the surveillance, and it's the perfect thing. Joey Greco is this calm, nice. He's the perfect soothing presence. He's a koi pond of a human being. I mean, he's so tranquil. And then they will throw it to the surveillance footage, which is narrated by this smoky voiced hillbilly. And he shows you this black and white. It sounds like if you hired Sam Elliott to follow your boyfriend around. I mean, is that kind of really deep? And they'll say, a contractor accused of building his house on someone else's lawn or whatever the fuck. They have some clever bullshit, much more clever than what I just came up with on the fly. And then they show black and white footage. And sometimes it's harmless where it's like people are making out in a parking lot or they're in a bar dancing and they can't keep their hands off one another. And then sometimes they have people, the person who feels they've been cheated on will set up hidden cameras in their home and you will actually see the person fucking the other person. Like they blur it out, but the person will strip and get right on top of them. And they don't show a lot of up and down, but they've shown blowjobs where you see the head going up and down in somebody's lap and all that kind of thing. But they can't be too suggestive about it. All right, but still, they show you as much as they possibly can. And then they go to commercial. And then they come back, and Joey Greco will be very calm, and he'll be like, once our surveillance footage was gathered, we went in and grabbed Lily, and we showed her the results. And they'll cut to a parking lot somewhere in Dallas where Joey Greco has gotten the aggrieved and is holding like a camera, and he shows them the footage. And their life falls apart before their very eyes. If it's true. I mean, if it's the fake people, obviously they get weird. But if it's the true people, you can see them, the hurt register right on them. And then the anger. You see them go through the 7 stages right there before you. While Joey Greco calmly, soothingly tells them that they happen to know where that person is now. And he's with the person that he's cheating with. Would you like to go and confront them? Yes, I would. And then the smoky voice will be like, coming up, the confrontation. So then they'll get in a van, and the best part is Joey. There's some guy named Raul, I think, or something, and he's always like, Raul, where are you? And he's on a cell phone, and they have eyes on the guy. And Joey Greco is in with the aggrieved in a van with a posse of dudes and a phalanx of security. And also, what do you got there? Are you picking up treats off the floor? I hope not.
I dropped a bag.
All right, she like picked up. It looked like a donut bag, and you just picked it up off the floor to just eat it. I'm like, with those eyebrows, really? You look like a monster, literally like a monster crawled in with weird eyebrows and ate donuts off the floor. That's.
Donut.
You know, the second most I've ever been scared in my life? It was 1:30 in the morning. I was in my house as a kid, and there was a donut on the floor, and a creature crawled out of the sink with eyebrows. Actually, I apologize. A second ago, that's the second most I've been scared in my entire life. You with your eyebrows eating donuts off the floor. All right. The 6-second rule means nothing to the eyebrow creature. By the way, why did I add a second? Isn't it a 3-second rule? I have a 6-second rule, folks. I'm a terrible fat person. I've added a second just in case, because I don't move very quickly anymore. Fat people move slowly. You got to give me an extra second. You're lucky I don't have a 2.5-minute rule for something on the floor. And by the way, the 6-second rule does not work for soup. All right, so you got to get soup up quick. You got to blot it up with a paper towel, wring it out into your mouth. Oh, there's nothing better than a secondhand broth. All right. Are you gagging? You gagged? You just ate a donut off the floor. What are you gagging about?
Anything. I picked a bag up.
I thought you had a bag gag. Did you bag gag?
Picked a bag up.
Right, and then you ate a donut. All right, so
Anything.
why do you say these things? Why do you try? Look, it's theater of the mind. All right, so they want to know what you're doing. You're eating a donut off the floor. It's fine.
Not eat floor food.
6-second rule. All right, so and wring out the broth right there. Right in your mouth. So what the hell was I talking about before you started eating off the floor? Before you ruined everything, you hobo.
I'm not going to tell you.
What? Perhaps you swallowed it in your eating frenzy.
Picking on me.
Oh, stop that nonsense. Just because you have a teeter-totter painted on your forehead. Folks, if you saw it, you'd think I was a genius because that's exactly what it looks like. All right, so. Yeah, actually, I guess I'm wrong because both ends are up. You know what? If you turn your head sideways, it looks like the greater than sign. I want to draw teeth in it. I used to do that when I was in school. You drew greater than and less than, and you drew teeth because it was like that was how they taught me when I first learned greater than and less than. They like drew the teeth in there. I said he eats this number. Chunk, 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 chunk. That's whenever it's open. That means he eats that number. It means he's less than or greater than. All right, so. This explains why I went to high school for 9 years. And you know, now I'm just distracted because it's like in my head I went, why am I telling them about cheaters and describing the entire fucking show? You've seen it. You know what it is. So the bottom line is then there's a fight. And then, you know, and a reporter comes out with this magnifying glass and goes, oh my God, the cheating humanity. But it's a perfect show because they open the show with the white couple, and then there's like a, you know, kind of a weird extravaganza. And then the second part of the show is the black couple, and that's a fucking production. I mean, it is like it's always in a barber shop somewhere or in some fast food place you don't recognize because it's Texas. Most of the stuff takes place in Texas. They've had stuff in New York occasionally because, you know, cheaters will go on the road, but Texas is big enough. And why am I telling you all this? Who cares? Who fucking cares? So that couple screams at one another, and there's a huge fight, and someone gets shoved into a pond. And then they come back, and they're like, and when we come back, cheaters, we'll take a look at a story from our archives. And then they interview, because that's another thing, too. If you're on Cheaters, you have to sign a release. So the most frustrating thing is when they'll go, Mr. X. Fuck Mr. X. Sign the release, you dick. You got caught cheating. But they have to mix those guys in. And again, like I said, I know the majority of them are fake, but you can always tell the ones that are not fake. And then they go to the archives, and then some guy he's telling his side of the story and bullshit. And then at the end of the show, they give you that Animal House wrap up of, you know, Senator Blutarski drove away on in a car, whatever the fuck. So it's a perfect show, and it cannot be improved upon. Unless you could show the actual sex, which I'm sure they sell those, or, you know, because like Jerry Springer sells that. They might. Well, Jerry Springer sells like that Jerry Springer Unchained or whatever the fuck, and it's got nudity. So these shows might, you know, maybe there's somewhere there's a cheaters tape floating around that has nudity. Because I mean, believe me, there's tons of shit out there. I told you there was a tape that was out last year it's a 15-minute tape called "Blow Me Out at the Ball Game," and it's all this surreptitious video footage of people at baseball games having sex in the stands. And not knowing they were being filmed. But because cameramen are looking all around and looking in the Sky Dome Hotel or up in the fucking rafters. I mean, there's a couple in the seated up in the Sky Dome, and they're fucking. Like, she stands up and takes her panties off, and he pulls his dick out, and she jumps, and they're getting filmed the entire time, looking around because they're like, aha, nobody can see us. You're on camera the entire fucking time. So people don't realize there's cameras fucking everywhere. Why did I say that?
Extra footage.
Oh yeah, so I'm sure Cheaters has some footage somewhere because I had a tape. Mike Toomey loaned it to me, and I think I still have it, of course. of the best of the worst Star Search auditions. And you can actually find it. It's on YouTube. I looked. It's just 8 minutes of people who sent tapes of themselves to Star Search, and the Star Search producers compiled them and passed them around to one another. There's people doing stand up holding a brush in their house. The best one is I think I've talked about this on here. The best one, there's a woman who wanted to be a spokesmodel. She has a hair lip. And she's like, and the best part is she's like, my name is Robin Kozlov. My stage name is Roxay Chantel. I mean, it's like fucking awful. But again, think of all that with a fucking hair lip. Like, I mean, Pardo needs to cut her a check and get her a face. I mean, it's like she's just fucking ridiculously awful looking. So, all right. So so Cheaters is perfect. That's the bottom line. Cheaters is a perfect show. It can't be trifled with, right? Right? Month ago, I'm at work. I flip on the all right. At midnight, because there's a monster movie on from 10 to 12, hosted by a guy named Svengoolie out of Chicago. So I'll watch that from 10 to 12 at my office, and then at 12, Cheaters comes on. And I'm just like, all right. So the other day, Cheaters starts coming on, and this is about a month ago. And it's the same thing. Cheaters, and the Smoky Hillbilly, and, women out there, have you been offended, and whatever. And then all of a sudden, a dude walks in, and he goes, welcome to Cheaters. I'm Clark Gable. And I go, where the fuck is Joey Greco? Why are you here, Clark Gable? Who the fuck are you? Because there was a show a few years ago where Joey Greco got stabbed in a Cheaters confrontation. But it's phony. It's completely phony. He did not. There was no police report. There was not. Literally, you can go online and find an article about the litany of fake cheaters. There's none of this is real. Although I still maintain at least a couple of them are real, because you will see people punch people in the face. I mean, there's no way anybody's signing up to be phony and really hitting somebody. It's not true. And again, you can see the rage and the anger in some people. So I'm going to venture to say like 1 out of every 4 is real. That's my guess. The one where Joey Greco got stabbed on a boat, not real. Because I saw it and I was like, and it's happened like 10 years ago, and I was like, Jesus Christ. And I actually asked Pardo, I go, do you ever watch Cheaters? I go, the host got stabbed on a boat the other day. And he looks at me and he goes, are you stupid? Do you think that really happened? Would they put that out in syndication? You wouldn't have heard about it in like Variety? And I go, you're right. But still. Because, it's powerful. You want to believe it. And it's Joey Greco. Why would he lie to me? So Clark Gable comes out, and in my head, I'm not even joking. It's this weird thought process where I go, wait a minute. Who the fuck is this? Clark Gable? Wait, is he related to Clark Gable? Where's Joey Greco? Oh my God, did Joey get stabbed again? Like that was the... All in 5 seconds, that's where my head went. Who's this asshole? Clark Gable. Is he related to Clark Gable? Where's Joey Greco? Joey gets stabbed again? So Clark Gable hosts in the studio, and then they do the regular cheater shtick where they go to the smoky-voiced hillbilly. And then, motherfucker, Clark Gable's in the van.
What?
And then Clark Gable's in the parking lot with the aggrieved, and he's showing them, and he's got an iPad now instead of Joey's camera. And it dawns on me, I'm like, wait a minute. Did they change the fucking show? Why would you change Cheaters? It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. It's been on for years. You've never changed it once, and now you go and change the fucking host, but not the format? So sure enough, I grab my phone, I Google it. First I Google Clark Gable Cheaters, and it comes up, and it's a press release from July of 2012, and it's a story that the producers of Cheaters have replaced Joey Greco with Clark Gable the third. He's the grandson of Clark Gable the actor.
Oh my God.
And in my head I'm like, well, where did this fucking guy even come from? Like, he's 22. He's 22. And now he's the host of Cheaters. And he's awful at it. Let's go ahead and say that right now. Because here's the thing. Joey Greco, like I mentioned to you folks, he was like just a 5'10" turtleneck stuffed with cotton. I mean, he was so loving and nice. He was a human cloud, and he was so mellow. And he was like, you know what? We actually know where he is right now. Would you like to go? I'm like, that sort of thing. He was neutral. All right, he was fucking completely Switzerland in everything. He would ask the person, well, "Why are you cheating? Could you talk to us about it?" That sort of thing. But he was never a dick. He was Joey Greco, and he was there with a fucking full camera crew and shit like that. But still, he was never really a cock about it. Clark Gable the third is a jagoff. He's exactly what you would think a 22-year-old kid would be. He shows them the thing, and he does this thing where, because Joey will say, as you can see, they get affectionate, and then they repair to the bedroom for the night. Well, Clark Gable will go, I don't know, that looks to me like they're pretty friendly, and then they go into your bedroom, where, I think we can see that he's probably cheating here, right? Like, he's leading them. Joey lets them get mad and lets the stuff wash over them, and he Sherpas them through it. Clark Gable's an instigator. Clark Gable III is a fucking instigator and has no business on the cheater set, motherfucker. If there's cheating going on, they don't need you to fucking... Literally, he's a bomb thrower. Fuck you. Fuck you, the Ann Coulter of cheaters. We don't need you to start these controversies. Cheating is enough. You have video footage. Let the video speak. Clark Gable, I know you've been in this business since July, but let the video speak, for Christ's sake. But then, I've watched over a month. This is what they want. They changed the format on purpose because they want him to instigate. Like, when they go and he'll go up to dudes and he'll be like, hey, bro, I didn't cheat. I'm not the one cheating. You're the one cheating. Let's just talk about it, bro. Like, he's kind of starting fights and shit. Joey Greco would stand back and let security do their job, but fucking Clark Gable III is just an asshole. Showing that it did not, literally generation to generation. I mean, as we know, Clark Gable, the original, came here and brumskied Lily right on the fucking forehead. Clark Gable III hosts the show, and he's just a dick. He's an instigator. And it's like, dude, why are you doing that? You don't need to be an instigator. This is but here's the worst part. All right, so I should tell you this. In my head, when I Googled it and I saw the press release, I'm like, where did he come from, and how the fuck did he get the job? Joey was so good at it, and why would you ever hire Clark Gable III? And then I started to read about it. The producers of Cheaters, these are guys like based in Texas. It's a production company that came up with this idea themselves, and they went to all these different places in Hollywood and got turned down by everybody. And now they've been on the air for 10 years by themselves because they went, fuck this, we know what's best. And so they did it, and sure enough, they're a huge success. They're in all these different markets, on all the time, syndicated every fucking day now. So, as I read the article, they're talking about Clark Gable, and the producer's like, well, we do what we want, and we work outside the Hollywood industry, and we tried to get the show sold, and we couldn't, and da-da-da. And then it mentions that the producers of Cheaters have also branched out. They have a new show. It's a reality show about the Clark Gable family. So they are following Clark Gable III, the grandson, and the Gable family, the sisters and the cousins. They're doing a reality show about that family and the lineage of a famous Hollywood actor. And I read it, and I'm like, the only reason they gave this motherfucker the job was so they could have access to the family that nobody gives a shit about. It's such an amateur move by a production company because they now think they can do whatever the fuck. Well, we broke Cheaters, we can break this. Nobody gives a fuck about Clark Gable. Nobody gives a fuck about really, some actor from the 30s, you think now we care about his grandsons and his cousins and bullshit like that? Unless you bring his reanimated corpse back from the dead and he shows up here and he brumskis Lily on the fucking forehead. Nobody's interested in what Clark Gable has to do. Literally, all the talking I've done about Clark Gable on this fucking show, that's the most anyone's done in 24 years. Since fucking 1988, when Clark Gable III was born. No, he's only 22. Fuck, my math didn't add up. I was so pissed. How do you ruin Cheaters? And again, because Cheaters is awful. It's a terrible, terrible show with the bad karma and everything. So then I'm so stupid. I Google Joey Greco and I find his Twitter. And I go to like Joey Greco's Twitter, and he doesn't mention the flip over or the change or getting fired or anything. He just handles it all. He's like a normal guy on Twitter. Of course he is, because he's so tranquil. He's perfect. He's so great. He's a human throw pillow. God damn it, Joey Greco is so comfortable. He's like your best pair of shoes, Joey Greco. If you stabbed your best pair of shoes on a boat. So even worse than that is I watched the show, and because again I'm trapped in an office. What the fuck am I gonna do? And I watched him admire how bad Gable is at his job, and Gable will start this thing, and all right, now here's where you can really tell the fake, because he's interfered with some couples, and he started that thing with, "Hey, bro," and then the guy will go, "Who are you, man? Who are you?" And then he'll go, "I'm Clark Gable. I'm cheater." He goes, "Clark Gable, if you want some of me, Clark Gable, I'm standing right here." Like that, they keep saying his name. nobody, because everybody knew who Joey Greco was. All right. Whenever Joey would walk into a bar, the place would go crazy. They'd be like, cheaters! They'd yell because Joey's face is so identifiable with cheaters. Well, now what's funny is they have to do these fake people to get Gable off the ground, because if you did Cheaters now with Clark Gable but used a real couple, and then the camera crews showed up and the security, and then that asshole showed up, you go, who the fuck are you? Like, even if I was cheating on my wife, right? Even if I was cheating on Karen and Karen showed up and she walked in with the camera crew and stuff, and I'd be like, dude, I'm so fucking busted. This is ridiculous. And then if Clark Gable came up to me, I'd go, where's Joey? That would be the first thing out of my mouth. Even busted for cheating, my wife standing there, every terrible thing. If the fucking Cheaters crew burst in and he goes, hi, I'm Clark Gable for Cheaters, I'd go, where's Joey? But in this show, they keep saying his name, so you know that what they're trying to do is brand him with Cheaters now. Because then even at the end, they do this, like I said, the weird Animal House thing of, we went back and talked to this guy, and he said, all right, so they did this, and literally, I've seen the show 4 times with Gable. 3 times. 3 fucking times. At the end, they said, when contacted by Cheaters representatives, Bill Collins said, you know what, if it wasn't for that Gable guy, everything would have been fine. And no, he did not say Gable's name weeks after the fucking confrontation. He probably said, hey, where's Joey? Because that's what we all want to know, Cheaters producers. Where's Joey? And now my greatest regret has come true. I will never work with Joey Greco. I will never... Because let's face it, Joey's not getting another job in show business ever, anywhere. No one else needs, hey, we need calm guy who doesn't upset anyone. No one's looking for that anymore. Everybody's looking for, oh my God, the humanity, they're cheating. That's what they want. Everybody's screaming at the top of their lungs. Nobody's calm anymore like Joey Greco. God, Joey Greco is just smooth, just cool. And I always wanted to work with them, but then they never brought Cheaters to L.A. Because again, like I said, it's all fake. So those people they're casting as actors. But see, you don't want me cast in Cheaters, because I would fuck up and punch a dude in the face, because the fights are so phony and ridiculous. And I've said this before. It's like when you watch Jerry Springer, most of that is fake too. So and it's fake because they'll have like a guy sitting there and he's fucked 9 transsexuals. And one of those transsexuals happens to be related to this mean guy. So then they bring the mean guy out, and he walks right past the transsexual, and then he like runs, and they sprint, and they jump up, and they wrestle around, and they knock a chair over, and that's no. You know what you do? You don't run out. You walk out completely calmly, and you walk past everyone, and you walk right up to the guy, and you just, but not really, like you're walking to your chair, and instead, right when you get close, you punch him as hard as you can in the face, and you break every bone in his face, and then you believe me, you could get to him before security got to you, because if you walk out calmly, they're not gonna, nobody goes crazy, and there's no Jerry, they're you're calm, and you smooth, and then you just fucking destroy a motherfucker. You box his ears, you do something, you stab him in the face, whatever you got to do. All right. And that's what I wanted to do on Cheaters. Like if I would have been cast as the boyfriend or the whomever the fuck or the cheating guy, I would have been terrible, because I would have fucked up the whole program, because the guy would have been like, come on, man, let's fight. And then I would have been all right. And then I would have punched the guy in the face and then kneed him out like 3 times and laid him out flat and just stood over him like, yeah, I'm fucking your girl, dude. And then the guy's just staring up at me with like groggy face and realizing this is the worst union scale I've ever made in my life. To get punched by this fat dude. And I'm just standing over him gloating. I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, ha, Joey. And I would just hug him. Because Joey's the best. Where's Joey, motherfuckers? That's it. You know what? Actually, bullshit. Maybe that's my goal. Maybe I aspire to work on Cheaters now. That's the whole thing. You know what? I'm the avenging angel of Joey Greco. That's who the fuck I am. Because when I wanted to work with Joey, it would have been fine. I would have laid a dude out and then hugged Joey and everything would have been fine. But no, now, here's what I do. I work with Gable. I get on there and Gable's like, hey, bro, I'm not just whatever. And then I punch Gable and I lay Gable the fuck out. And I'm like, ha, yeah, I'm fucking your show, dude. Where's Joey?
You're listening to The 40-Year-Old Boy, and later it's What Was That? Join our intrepid band of ghost hunters every week as they bravely dive headfirst into the supernatural. What was that? 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 It's the podcast that goes bump in the night. What was that? On the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network. What was that?
Hey, I need to thank everybody out there who sent me ringtones last week. I will tell you this. I have downloaded none of them because I don't know if I trust you people. It's weird. I appeal to people for things, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is awesome! Here's this," and then I don't download it because I'm scared. I'm a scared. Plus, I have an Apple. There's a soldier who lives in my Apple who kills viruses. So why the fuck should I even care, right? But I will. I will download all that stuff tonight because I didn't download it because here's the thing. I was in Philadelphia last week, and I had to download it. Like Lily did a project for me, and she sent me like 15 things to download. So I had to download all that and listen to that. I did the show last Wednesday. I got home, and then I did all the Facebook and email stuff, and then I was on a plane, and then it was a whirlwind couple of days in Philadelphia. So I did not get to download the ringtones, but I will. I will do that tonight, actually, and then I will. All right. Let me, because I have Lily here, and she's the producer. She's the genius. She's the brains of the outfit. So what I do is I download these, and they'll go to my desktop, and then I put them in my iTunes, and then I just sync them into my phone, and then I just make them the ringtone because you can pull it from whatever, right?
Yes, they'll just show up in your as long as they're made correctly, they'll automatically show up in your iPhone.
As ringtones. Okay, yeah, because the problem is I've tried, like I thought, I've talked about this on here before, I thought you could use any music from your iTunes as your ringtone. So I thought, because again, I hated that fucking auga and all that bullshit that's in the phone. So I looked to use regular songs and it won't let me do it. So these people have made ringtones, and I know someone made a Mr. Speed ringtone, and someone made a like they made that ringtones. I can't wait to hear them. I know what they are. They're there, and I will thank you personally next week once I download them and they don't ruin my phone or my computer. Or I'll call you out next week if they do those things. Who knows? The humanity, the ringtone ruined my computer and phone. Get my magnifying glass out and come to your house. So everybody who sent them last week, I think 10 or 15 people sent them, so that's really cool. I'm never wanting for ringtones again, which is good news. And now when nobody calls, it sounds so cool. Yeah, so I wanted to thank you guys for sending the ringtones. You know what's funny? I was at work, again, ridiculous, watching TV. By the way, Kojak almost left the force yesterday. All right, so he got an offer from a lawyer. And it looked like he was going to leave. He had a handshake deal. But then it turned out that the lawyer was representing a guy that's involved in a case Kojak was involved with. And then he called Kojak a poor, dumb cop. Oh, quite a blow. But so Kojak, whatever, he rallied and he stayed with the force. Anyway, I know you guys, you want to know. It's so bad. Here's my favorite thing about Kojak, right? I've talked about Kojak, and that's fine. Remember I said I liked it because it was dark and grim. Like, there was a woman the other day getting an abortion, and they talk about going to hell, and this woman got called a whore. So they deal with kind of gritty subject matter. You have to watch Kojak. Please, please, I'm begging you. Watch 2 episodes just to hear the most inappropriate music you'll ever hear in your life in a television show. It's like they hired Scott Joplin to score Kojak. Like, Kojak's on the streets of New York, and he's hustling these Puerto Ricans, and he went into a pool hall to take on a gang of black militants who were holding a white girl. Like, Kojak went in there, and it's literally like this clarinet ragtime do 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 do. I'm like, where's the gritty realism? It's like Kojak is being followed around by a ragtime band who plays, and it makes no sense at all. There was a junkie, a hooker junkie who OD'd, okay? And they're in her fucking hovel, and she's got a needle sticking out of her arm. Her arm is tied off, okay? And the gear and stuff is there in the bed, and they're playing this music that sounds as if a little boy is running through a field and he with a rabbit. I mean, it's just the most inappropriate music I've ever heard. It doesn't match at all. And it's funny, Kojak was, I've read a bunch on Telly Savalas because I'm fascinated by him now. And here's, all right, real quick, let's do this. He used to get everybody he knew jobs. Like, that's why his brother is fucking Stavros in that show, George Savalas. He was an actor, but then he was in like The Dirty Dozen with Telly. And Telly would basically put his brother in everything that he was in. And his other brothers, I guess, were in stuff too. And he got them jobs and stuff. Dude, Telly Savalas is the weirdest thing ever. He was married 3 different times. The last like 25 years of his life, he lived in the Universal City Hilton. He lived in a hotel for 24 years. And to the point where they've named the bar Telly's. So it's like if you walk into the Hilton or the Sheraton or whatever the fuck it was and you see Telly's, it's named after Telly Savalas because he lived there and died there. He died in that building. So whenever you stay there, whenever you're here to go to City Walk and enjoy yourself at the Universal Studios and you're staying at the Sheraton that is attached to it, please know you're haunted by the ghost of Telly Savalas at all times. Whenever you hear the ghostly sounds of a lollipop clacking on perfect teeth, just know it's the ghost of Kojak lurking in your room. All right. I was what was I going to talk about? I said, I watched this at work. All right, here's the thing. Because I wanted to tell you about this movie that I saw. There's two networks that run movies late into the night, and they're sometimes you recognize them, most times you don't, because they're showing catalog films just to fill time. But they showed some film that was produced by Dick Clark called Psych Out, and it stars Jack Nicholson and I think Susan Strasberg and Bruce Dern. And it is my favorite movie of all time. It is leaped into the top 5, certainly. I can't say it's the favorite yet. It is a period piece from the 60s. It's set on Haight-Ashbury, and Nicholson is like in a band called Mumbling Jim. And it's Nicholson and two other dudes that all they do is they get high all the time, and they're hippies. They live on Haight-Ashbury, and they live in this collective house where all the hippies come, and they give each other free clothes and free food, and it's set in, you know, the summer of love in 67 or 68 in the Haight-Ashbury, and a girl comes to town looking for her brother, who is Bruce Dern, and it turns out Bruce Dern is whacked out on LSD. And then Dean Stockwell is like this crazy fucking, I mean, it's just, you just picture them all getting high and making this movie, and the Strawberry Alarm Clock did the soundtrack for it. And they did the whole, and not only because there's Incense and Peppermints, of course, which is like a big thing, but then there's like, of course, you know, Satiny Mushroom Afternoon Pillow, like songs like that. And it's all like, you know, a green tambourine. Like that. I am fascinated with that music. Because when I was a kid, I hated it. Now I want to own it all. I want to own, but only the good stuff, like, because there's so much bad stuff from the 60s. But when Incense and Peppermints is just like, whatever the fuck, you hear that so much. But then when you hear like that, I heard that Satiny Pillow, it's that weird Tommy James and the Shondells, Crimson and Clover, that echoing like guitar, and the you know, and they're all talking about getting high, and it's just, I want that music now. I became fascinated by it watching this movie, because this movie should not be good. I mean, it's terrible, but Nicholson makes it eminently watchable because he's a fucking genius. No matter what he's in, he's so good. And the thing is, he's like this hippie, but this is what happens when we eat donuts off the floor. You stay hungry. She just tried to pick up a box of Wonka Nerds, like her Spree or Sweet Tarts. She just tried to pick it up off the floor and eat that. She's ravenously crawling on the ground with her eyebrows arched, trying to find floor food. Magnifying glass out. She used to be in the media, folks. I don't know if you've heard about this. She got her magnifying glass out looking for food. You're not going to find it. You might find glitter. That's the only thing you're going to find on the floor here. But maybe you subsist yourself on glitter. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe strippers eat glitter. I have no idea how it works. That's why their skin is so shiny. They sweat it out. That's not a lotion. That's not a topical glitter. That comes from inside. These strippers bleed glitter. That's how dedicated they are to the craft. Cut me, I bleed glitter. I sweat it out. I'm sweating glitter all night. That's why it sticks to you when you leave the strip club. You're covered in sweaty glitter because it sweats out of you. It has that property. All right. Let's just fucking talk about Philadelphia. I forgot the fuck I was talking about because Lily's finding random foodstuffs to eat off the floor. All right. Like I said last week, it was a whirlwind week. I went away to Philadelphia for 2 days. I left on Thursday morning. I had a flight early. And I should tell you this. All right, I was worried about the show because the ticket sales were grim. I mean, really bad. And it's my fault. All right, because the last time I went to Philadelphia, I thought it was a big deal. I was going to go. I was going to see the Phillies, and the show was on my birthday last year. I was really excited, and I sold 29 tickets. You know, so I lost money on that. And that trip, I really lost money because I rented a car, and I stayed 3 days. You know, I came there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I went to the Philly game. I mean, I just took a bath in Philly last time. So this time around, I was going to be smart about it. I said, you know what? I'll go in on a Thursday. Everything will be fine. And so I was preparing myself to leave. So last week, I was sitting in the dark recesses of my work, watching Jack Nicholson in Psych Out. And like I said, Wednesday I did the show, and I left Thursday morning. So I was bored at my work. Things have changed at my work. I can't go into it. I'll do it another time. Because honestly, because I spent too much time talking about fucking cheaters with Joey Greco. But I'll bore you with it another time. But so I'm sitting at my work, and I grabbed my phone, and I was fucking around. I was trying, like I said, I'm getting ready to leave, and I went on the Priceline app on my phone, and I said, you know what, let's do rental cars in Philadelphia, just because. So I priced it. And if you remember the last time I did a rental car in Philadelphia, it cost me $100 a day, or like $85 a day. It was something ridiculous, and I did it because I'm stupid. And this was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I brought it back Saturday. So this time I did it on Priceline, and I looked, and full-size car, $11 a day.
What?
$11 a day to rent it for Thursday afternoon and bring it back by Saturday afternoon. How do you not do that? I mean, because in my head, I went, well, you know what? If you take a cab from the airport, that's usually like $35. So back and forth is $70, plus to and from the theater, which wasn't much. I should tell you this, all right? I took a bath. Like I said, I didn't sell any tickets, all right? And I'll get to that in a second. So I wasn't selling any tickets up until last week. I was really worried about it. I had only sold 9. And I was like, Jesus Christ, this is going to be horrendous. So then a listener of the show, our friend David Watson, who I think I've mentioned on here before, and I think I've mentioned this last week, he contacted me. He goes, hey, man, I'm going to be in Philadelphia that weekend. I want to come to the show. I want to get your room. Because he is I guess he works for Hilton, and he travels all the time, so he has like 1 billion Hilton points, and he's their like platinum club member or whatever. And he's like, I can get you the room. I'd like to do that. And he did this for me in Atlanta as well, ridiculously, just amazing. And I said to him, especially with Philadelphia going to be such a tank job, I was so grateful. And I said, yeah, absolutely. And he's like, well, what hotel would you want? So I picked. Because he gave me a list of what to choose from. So I chose an Embassy Suites in Center City, and the Embassy Suites in Center City was 1.5 miles from the theater where I was playing. So, well, that's an easy cab ride to and from. That'll work out perfect. And if I'm in downtown, because last time, like I said, I stayed there, I was at the airport. So I had to have a car. So I didn't need a car this time. But then when it was $11 a day, in my head I went, fuck, how do you pass that up? You can't pass that up. So I booked it. Sitting there in the dark at my work, I said, book it. So I booked the fucking thing, and it was $40 with tax. Or no, it was 22. I'm sorry, it was $30 with tax. And then they said, hey, do you want insurance? And the insurance was only $20. So I threw that on there because you have to. I have to get the insurance, and that's fine. So that's another $20 that goes onto the insurance. So it's $11 a day, which is 22 plus tax plus the insurance. Now I was up around $55 for having a car Thursday, Friday, bringing it back Saturday, which is fine. I can deal with that. So I said, all right, that's fine. I went home Tuesday, and then I came here and did the show Wednesday, and I sat down to figure things out. And then as I was sitting at my desk Wednesday night, it dawned on me, I'm in downtown Philadelphia. I didn't rent cars in the past because of the expense of renting a car, and it was so much money. But there was one other expense that I forgot about when I saw $11 a night for the car. That would be parking in the city. So I made a phone call, and I called the Embassy Suites in Center City, and I said, hi, what's parking like around there? They go, oh, we have a valet service. And I said, yes, but what about on the street? They go, well, there's parking like 5 blocks in one direction, and you can go, and if you find street parking, it's very hard, and you can't park between 4 and 7. It's a city. There's a bunch of rules. I said, okay, well, how much is overnight parking at your hotel? They said, it's okay. It's only $38 plus tax a night. Which is 40. It turned out to be like $8. It was $47 plus tax. And I said thanks, and I hung up. And in my head I went, all right, I already paid for this car, and in Priceline you can't get a refund. I was just going to walk away from the car because parking 2 nights in the hotel was another $86. No, 40. It was 38 plus 8, 46, $92 to park. So Karen got up and she was taking me to the airport, and I laid it all out for her. I go, listen to me. I go, I found this amazing deal on a car. She's like, that's great. And I said, but I forgot this, and here's this. She goes, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I don't have to pick up the car. I can just take cab rides. She goes, yeah, but then you've already paid the $50. She goes, now if you take the cab rides, that's $60 each way to and from the airport, and then wherever you want to go. And what are you going to save? $20 if you don't get the car now? I go, yeah, but that's $20 that I'll save. She goes, it doesn't matter. You can write it off. It's part of your parking. It's when you're on the road. It's fine. You can do it. She goes, just do it. But there's nothing worse than having to. It's just fucking. It's so bad. So already I'm in the hole, and I knew it. Not selling any tickets. I still rented a car, and then I got to pay fucking $96. Dudes. The fuck? Idiot. So Karen takes me to the airport. I'm flying at 6:30, so she gets me there around 5. And like I said, I've been wearing sweatpants. So I don't have to show my balls to anybody. I fucking go through the checkout. I check in. And you know what? I was actually starving because I didn't eat at home all night for some reason. So there was a Camacho's Mexican restaurant that was the only thing open. It was Camacho's was open, and Starbucks, or no, that shitty bakery I told you that. So I saw Camacho's and they had a breakfast burrito. I said, I'm in. So I got a breakfast burrito. It was awful. I mean, it was just because, again, it's early. That's the whole point. It's early, so you shouldn't ever eat that early. But I did. I ate half of it and threw the rest of it away. It was terrible. But the good news is when I checked in, nobody was sitting next to me because it was this 5.5-hour flight. So I get into the plane. I sit down, and there's 2 empty seats next to me. There were 2 empty seats when I checked in, too. So I'm sitting there waiting, and it's dangerous to have 2 empty seats next to you because that means a couple could come in and sit next to you. They could have claimed those seats. Something could happen. But if you go, whenever I try to book, I try to make sure there's somebody in the aisle already. So then I'll book the window so then nobody will book the middle. It's always kind of the way it works. So I get in and I sit down on the plane and I'm waiting. And like I said, there's 2 empty seats next to me. And all of a sudden walking down the aisle is a couple. And I'm in my head, I go, well, they're sitting by me. There's no doubt that they're sitting by me. And they were super young. The girl was wearing a tracksuit, and she was just this bottle blonde. She had really big tits and a nice body, but she was just, her nose was buried in her phone. And she was with her boyfriend who was, he had just a head full of fucking lettuce. I mean, just that crazy Justin Bieber. He's like 23 and it's all brushed in his eyes and just fucking, and he was wearing, you know what he was wearing? Like a trucker hat, but not a trucker hat. Just a baseball hat, but it wasn't a Von Dutch because he didn't emerge from the past. But I mean, he had that head full of like lacrosse lettuce, just that big fucking lacrosse cut on his head, and then he had the hat perched on top of his head. Like he didn't want to fuck his hair up, but he still wore a hat for fashion. Who wears a baseball hat for fucking fashion other than a 23-year-old lacrosse idiot? So sure, and the whole thing, he's like, excuse me, bro. He kept saying bro to everybody when he walked by because he would bump into them with his luggage. Like, instead of moving his luggage to a place where it wouldn't bump into people or pulling it over his head like a normal person, he just rolled through and went, excuse me, bro, pardon me, bro, sorry, bro, and he kept hitting people with his luggage. Meanwhile, his fucking BIM girlfriend has got her face buried in her phone. She's not looking. He's just clearing the way for her, and I'm like, oh, great, they're going to sit next to me. So I'm in 30F, and they look up, and he's like, where are we, babe? And she's looking at her phone. She goes, I don't know. It's down there somewhere. And then they look up and they see the seats, and they see that there's 2 seats next to me, and I'm a giant, and I see her face. She just goes white because she realizes they're going to have to sit next to me, and he's going to put her in the middle. And she freaks out. And she just kind of goes, hold on. And she gets in her phone. She starts scrolling around, and she goes, we're in 29. And as they get closer, they realize that that's not me. So he doesn't care. He's like, all right, bro, it's fine. He goes to put his stuff away, but she's like so relieved. And they climb in and they make the person at the aisle on 29 get up and get out. And the 2 of them squish in. And then right behind them is a kind of like a normal looking dude. And he sits down in 30. He's in 30D. So I'm in 30F and I'm waiting to go to sleep. And I have my new hoodie on. Have I mentioned that I bought a new hoodie, folks? I have a new passenger costume. It's a fucking Phillies hoodie. It's black. It's amazing. So I got that on, and I've got in its kangaroo pouch, I've got an iPod and a phone, and I've got, I'm just ready to sleep. And, but I can't sleep until I'm sure of my situation. And sure enough, they start closing the luggage racks. People start sitting down, and it seems to be, nobody's in and then all of a sudden, sure enough, one guy gets on the plane, and he keeps walking, and I'm furious because I know he's fucking coming. And he does. He sits right next to me, because obviously he was a standby guy or something who showed up late. And I will tell you this, he comes in and he sits down, and he did not grumble or freak out when he saw giant me sitting there on the plane. He just sits down because he knows his lot in life. He accepts the fact that he was a late fucking guy, and he can sit wherever there, and he's going to have a fucking miserable flight for 5.5 hours. That's on him. And he sits down and doesn't say a word. And I should be honest with you, I usually apologize. I usually lean over and I say, I'm real sorry about this. I'm a big guy. But you know what? I didn't give a fuck at this point because that guy was a last minute entry, and you get what you fucking get, motherfucker. If they have to jam you in an overhead compartment, if you have to sit in the bathroom while somebody takes a shit on the sink, then you do that. This is your fucking fate. So I actually wanted to make it even more miserable. Like I wanted to lean on him. I wanted to fucking, like hog his air vent because I had already kind of co-opted his air vent and pointed it at me. So if he wanted to take it back, that was fine. But I fuck you. I'm stealing your oxygen. You didn't even get oxygen in this flight, motherfucker. Buy a real ticket. Then you can breathe. But I did. I wanted to lean over him. You know what? And I'm not even joking. Like I was that spiteful in my head. I wanted to take his magazines. Like in the fucking pouch. Like I wanted to take his in-flight man. No, you don't. I'm sorry. You don't get to read about Hawaii. No. You do not get to read about Fiji, sir. You sit there in silence. You do not get to browse the Sky Mall and buy a map of the world that fits on your whole wall. You don't get it. You don't even get to consider it. You don't get to play my Sky Mall game. Because I've told you of the Sky Mall game, have I not? You nodded yes, and you said no.
I went the Sky. No, I don't know the Sky Mall game.
Sky Mall game is when you take the Sky Mall catalog. This is if you can't sleep. And this never happens to me. But I do this with Karen. Actually, I'll do it with Karen because it's more fun because I can't just go right to sleep on Karen. So you get the Sky Mall out and you open it to page 1. And you have to buy something on that page. No matter what it is. You got to buy something on that page. And then I get page 2, you get page 3. And we go through the whole Sky Mall catalog until we've accumulated a bunch of shit. It's totally fun. It's so fun. A fake shopping spree at the Sky Mall. Because the best is when you'll go to you're like, Jesus Christ, do I get a glow-in-dark globe or a dog bed? Which way? Because I don't even have a dog, but I don't want that fucking shitty globe in my house. There's tough decisions to make. See? There you go. You acknowledge it.
It is funny.
When you do it by yourself, it's kind of fun, but it's when you do it with somebody else, it's even more fun because then they're stuck with bullshit. You're like, ha, idiot. Then you punch your friend. But I did. I wanted to take his things. Like I wanted to make sure he had a miserable flight. So, but I was like, fuck it, shut up and go to sleep. So we start to back away. Sure enough, earbuds in, crash. And I should tell you this. I didn't squish him because I do instinctively. My body makes itself small on a plane. Like I bury myself into the wall, and I just go to sleep. I don't move. I don't do anything. I mean, I move. I shift around a little bit. I'll just tell you this. I sleep. All right, because I don't even put my seat back or take my tray table down because I don't want to risk them like trying to wake me up and tell me that I have to put those things up and realizing I have earbuds in and then they have to tell me to take them out. Like I would just rather go completely under the radar. But I will occasionally in the middle of the flight because I'll know we'll have a couple hours. I will unleash the tray table and I will lean forward and I will hug the tray table and put my head on the seat in front of me. But then, unfortunately, fucking Bottle Blonde started shifting around and kicking like an infant. Like, it was like, I couldn't understand if she was doing it because she was mad that I was on her chair or if she was just a fucking fidgety idiot. By the way, Fidgety Idiot, my first CD. So I'm sleeping and I'm not even fucking noticing. I'm just crashed out. I'll wake up periodically and hear Paul Stanley and then smile and go to sleep. But I will tell you this, I missed on the apple juice and I didn't bring water, so I was kind of dehydrated. So I wake up with like about an hour left in the flight and I grabbed a fucking waitress and I'm like, hey, can I get a can of apple juice? She goes, sure, what do you want? I said, well, just a can of apple juice. I don't need a cup. I don't need ice or anything. She goes, do you want ice? I go, I don't need a cup. I don't need ice. Just a can of apple juice would be fine because I'm just going to chug it and go to sleep. But I have to keep saying can. Because I don't want them to bring me a cup of apple juice. You know what I mean? Because they will do that. Like they're saving the other half of the can for somebody else. I don't fucking know. Why are they selfish on planes? Hydrate me, motherfuckers. So thankfully she brought the can of apple juice and then handed me a plastic cup with 4 huge cubes of ice in it. And what do you do at that point? I just take it. I fucking took it. And I figured, you know what? I'll just leave it here and if it melts, I'll drink it. Who fucking cares? So sure enough, I popped the apple juice and chugged it and went to sleep. And we finally land. We get to the plane. And the guy was real nice. He didn't say anything. And I felt bad because I was probably infringing on him a little bit while I slept. So we land and people are starting. We're in row 30, so we're not going anywhere. And I turn around and I look at him. My conscience gets the better of me. So I kind of look over and I go, hey, I'm real sorry that I crowded you during the flight. I appreciate you being patient with me. I know I'm kind of a giant, but I tried to fly small, and I hope it wasn't too big a deal for you. And he looked at me, and I think he said, no problem. I had a standby buddy pass, so I would have sat on the wing if they would have let me. I don't care, as long as I'm here. I think he said that. I'm not sure. Because I was too busy dealing with the open sewer that he would call a mouth. Because he looked at me And I knew there was trouble the second he opened his mouth because it was fucking, it was yellow. Like it was just this, it was like he had the sun in his mouth. I mean, it was this crazy, his teeth were so yellow and there was yellow in the corner of his mouth. Like it wasn't just like flecks of spit. There was yellow in the corner of his mouth and he had yellow teeth. And then it dawned on, like, I'm like, how did I sleep with this guy obviously eating Cheetos for 5.5 hours? Like, I couldn't put it together in my head because there's no way that color could naturally arrive in your mouth. There's no way. And as he talked to me, like I said, he had yellow teeth. He had yellow in the corner of his mouths. And when he spoke, I didn't hear the words because I was still trying to process the fact that he had spit sticking in his teeth. Like, it looked like he was chewing gum as he spoke because there were strands of spit that were attached. You ever read a comic book and they show a zombie when a zombie is coming to bite somebody and he's got like his teeth are stuck together by spit? That's what this guy looked like. Like it, as if he had some sort of weird epoxy within his teeth. So when he chewed, there were strands of spit that stuck from the upper. That's how disgusting his teeth were. The spit stuck from the top to the bottom and formed like this saliva prison in that imprisoned what had to be the worst tongue I've ever probably seen, because I actually looked in his mouth. I saw the cavity creeps from the Crest commercial. They were in there working. They were working. Some of them were working. Some of them were saying, like, please save us, because even they didn't want to be in there. Fuck the cavity creeps. The Lamisil monster was swinging from his uvula in the back of his mouth. That's how bad it was. The cavity creeps were there begging to be released, and the Lamisil monster was swinging on his uvula, and the Mucinex mucus monsters were also in his... Any bad thing you've ever seen in a commercial, they were in his mouth right there, having a gathering, trying to figure out how to burst out of the saliva prison that was formed by the saliva between his horrible, horrible fucking teeth. I can only imagine if he lives on the East Coast in the winter, when he breathes in December, the breath must come out shaped like a swastika. It just must be a toxic warning, because literally the showers at Dresden had nothing on this guy's mouth. There's no way they could have been any more toxic than what was going on underneath this guy's fucking nose. He was talking and I didn't notice because I'm sure that I was waiting for the ghost of Simon Wiesenthal to appear and wrestle him to the ground and drag him off to a tribunal. I mean, it was that fucking horrendous. It was that offensive. It was so bad that as he's talking to me, he's talking and I'm looking and I'm staring and I'm trying to process it, and the lacrosse dude was standing up and he went, bro. Like, it was like that. They smelled it ahead of me in the seats ahead of me. They knew. Even they knew. So at least I wasn't crazy. I had fucking crazy lettuce head to confirm it for me.
Oh my God.
Awful. So bad.
Oh.
And I sat there and I just listened to him talk, and I'm just sitting there frozen. And I was like, great. And I had to hide my face because the stench was so fucking awful. The smell, it was so toxic. It was just, I don't know how you can get like that. And I will say this happens whenever I go, it'll happen at a supermarket and it'll be a checker. And I want to grab them and go, don't you know? You deal with the public all day. Hasn't anybody flinched in your face? Because I'm flinching right now. Jesus Christ. Chew some gum. You're a foot from gum. You're a foot from relief. Throw a coat of paint on that breath. It's fucking horrendous. So he finishes, and I tuned out. I tried not to pass out from the horrible breath. Grab my stuff, I get out. And I'm in Philadelphia. Here we go. And by the way, that is exactly as much enthusiasm as I could work up for your fucking town, because that's as much enthusiasm as you had for me, motherfuckers. Seriously. I'm in Philadelphia. Here we go. There should actually be a question mark on there. I'm in Philadelphia. Here we go. I mean, literally, that's how much you care. So, and by the way, the people who do care. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not casting aspersions all over everybody. The people who came, awesome. But the rest of the city, fuck off. All right, so, and then I'll get to that in a minute. So, I get out and I go to pick up my rental car at Alamo. I get outside and grab the bus, head to Alamo. They're very friendly. And I will say this: I walked into Alamo to get my car, and the guy was like, hey, I'll help you over here. He took me to the national desk, and he's like, hey man, you get a full-size car, and he goes, you can upgrade for $20 a day. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm already in for a fucking parking lot and bullshit. He's like, no problem. He goes, well, go outside. The woman will tell you which car you can take. And as we're talking, I turn around, and there's a girl, she's probably 18, wearing short shorts, denim cutoff short shorts, and a half shirt, a Chicago Bears half shirt. And gorgeous. All right, I won't lie. She's fucking beautiful. She looked like Wait a minute. Did I just say I can't lie? I did, didn't I? Well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever said on this show. Look, folks, she was gorgeous. I can't lie. I've been on for 4 years, almost 5 full years. The one thing I will not lie to you about is the gorgeous 18-year-old girl at the fucking National Alamo Rental Car Center in Philadelphia. And again, wearing Bears colors, half shirt, half shorts. I mean, she looked like Carmela de Cesar. You know who that is? Carmela de Cesar is, for my money, the hottest Playboy Playmate of the year of all time. I mean, she is just, yeah. You should look her up because I'm telling you, she has the most beautiful vagina you'll ever see in your life. And look, and I'm a guy who likes vaginas, all right? But I mean, hers, for some reason, I don't know what it is. It's like, it should be in the dictionary under vagina. Like, it should just say, see Carmela de Cesar, Playboy Playmate of the Year, whatever the fucking year it was. Because, goddamn, and so, she's so beautiful, total package. But, I mean, I would, never mind. All right, so who cares? Her vagina is beautiful. So, there's the name of the show. Her vagina is beautiful. By the way, I cannot lie about her vagina, but I cannot confirm about the vagina of the girl in the Alamo rental car. But the guy helping me, I was distracted. Like, I kept looking back, and she was with 2 other girlfriends who were dressed the same way, who were also very cute. But this girl was stunning to the point where whenever anybody would walk in, they would stop and look at her. And she was with 3 fucking, meatheads who were getting a car. And they were all up the counter, pushing each other and punching each other in the arm and not knowing what to do with those gorgeous girls. Not having any idea what to do. And then I walked outside and all of us walked out, all 7 of us, the 6 of them and me. And she also had a cute little stocking, like a Bears stocking cap on. Like, it looked like she worked for the Bears. It was the weirdest thing. Like, she was in some weird, like, I expected her to bust out a t-shirt cannon and shoot me in the face. So we walked out and they went to find their car. And then I asked the woman, I said, what do I have to choose from? And she said, well, we have these cars here. She goes, we have a 2013 Altima. Would you like that? I said, yes, I love Nissans. It's mine. So I got in and, look, I love Nissans. I can't stress that enough. I can't lie. So I get in the Nissan and it's a push button starter. Cause Karen had that with her Nissan, the hybrid that she had. And it's just an amazing car. It was so cool. I drove out. It was 7 miles from the airport. And I had a map, but then I also had it on my phone. But then I had to call Mark. Mark is a listener to the show. And he was one of the guys who gave me a real pep talk about doing the pod smash. He was, convinced me to do it, and he was real cool. And he had reached out and wanted to do something in Philadelphia, but I wasn't sure what I was doing. I thought I had plans, but then I didn't, and things fell through, and who knew? So I contacted Mark and I'm like, dude, I'm available for dinner tonight if you want to hang out. I don't know if you want to have like an early lunch or a late lunch or an early dinner, however you want to work it. He goes, man, I'd love to have dinner. So we had contacted via Facebook. So I get in the car and I call him. And I said, hey, I'm in town. I'm driving. And, I had to get to Benjamin Franklin Parkway. And the last time I was in Philadelphia, the city tried to murder me. We all know that, right? But now I'm driving during the day. So I'm driving and I'm on the 676 and the whatever. And dude, fucking ridiculous signs. Like I'm on the phone talking to Mark while I'm on the freeway, and it said my exit was 0.6 away. 0.6 of a mile. Why are there fractions on your fucking street signs, Philadelphia? I was there. You people don't know fractions. You don't, because you commit all the way. You hate me fully, all right? Nobody hates me 2/3 of the way out there. You hate me fully. You hate everything fully. You don't need any fractions ever in that town. But it's sure enough, it's like, 3/8 of a mile. I'm like, what the fuck is that? But I'm driving, and I'm talking to Mark on my Bluetooth, and I was prepared. Because I remember last time I came to town, all of a sudden I was on a bridge. And all of a sudden, when the bridge ended, my exit was there on the right-hand side with no signs. So I made sure to drive in the right-hand lane. And sure enough, I got on a bridge, and we were in this tiny space. And then we went over, and then 0.6 of a mile, there was my exit, and boom, I exited right there. And as I'm talking to Mark, it says there's a traffic circle. And look, we know I don't do traffic circles very well. I don't know. Look, what's with you people with fractions and shapes? In a kindergartner building your fucking town? 0.6 of a mile to a circle, and whee! That's what it should just say on your maps. So fucking 0.6 of a mile, I exit, I get off, and then there's a traffic circle. When you get to the second right on the traffic circle, it says you will see that hotel. I don't fucking know. So I'm driving, I'm right downtown. So, and it's probably 3:30, 4 o'clock. So people are crossing at crosswalks. It's a busy city. People are walking. So I see the Embassy Suites, but I pass it. My street passes it. I would have had to turn right about, 9/8 of a block up. I don't know what the fuck it is. And then turn left to get in. There was no entrance where I was, but fuck that. I'm not going to go around the block because my map told me where to get there. I can see the Embassy Suites. I'm getting in there. I don't fucking care how. So I'm talking to Mark on the phone. As I'm talking to Mark, I go in through the outdoor with my car. And there are 2 cars parked there with their headlights, so I can't get through. So I take a hard right-hand turn onto the sidewalk. And I did it on purpose. It wasn't like a goof or anything. I knew what I was doing. So I turned onto the sidewalk because there was nobody there. So I'm on the phone talking to Mark. I'm on the Bluetooth, and I'm on the sidewalk driving. I'm right by these newspaper machines and a street light. And all of a sudden the light changes, and then everybody crosses over. And now people are walking by my car, like all around my car. Like they won't let me. Dude, I'm a car. Get the fuck out of my way. But again, it's a city, so nobody cares. Because what I wanted to do was a 3-point turn. I wanted to turn onto the sidewalk and then back up into the exit and then go back around and double back into the parking lot. But in the middle of my 3-point turn, actually, yeah, so it's at 1.5 points of my 3-point turn, I'm there and I'm backing up and I'm surrounded by people. And they're not like Rizzoing the car and hitting it or anything, but they are staring at me and going, we're walking. This is a sidewalk. You know this is a sidewalk. And I'm on the phone with Mark and I go, I think I'm on the sidewalk, Mark. I don't know how this works, but I'm trying to park. And he goes, you're on the sidewalk? And he just starts laughing. And I go, yeah, I'm trying to park the car, but I'm on a sidewalk, but I'm not going to miss the hotel. And Mark wants nothing to do with me at that point. Really, he's washing his hands of me. And as these people then dissipate, there's one guy left and he's a valet from the Embassy Suites. And he kind of looks at me and I roll the window down and I go, hey, what's happening? He goes, you want me to take over from here? And I said, yeah, absolutely.
Oh my Christ.
So he goes, you're checking in? And I go, yeah, checking in. And I just got out of the car, left it on the sidewalk, you know, like ass hanging off the curb by the newspaper machines, blocking the entire sidewalk, people having to walk in the grass of the Embassy Suites. I might as well have been parked in their fountain. It didn't fucking matter. And he goes, you want to take us over? Yeah, here you go. I get out. I hand him the keys. I grab my luggage. I just leave. I leave the car open door. I don't fucking care.
Oh my God.
So he just gets in and I see him struggling I go to the best part is I go to check in. So I'm standing there in line to talk to the people at the desk and I see him trying to do the same thing and people are looking and giving him the dirty looks. So good for him for taking the bullet for me. Nice kid. Helps an old man out. So I go to check in, and I wait in line. They're very nice. I go up to the counter, and I give them my name. They say, you're leaving Saturday. I say, yes. And I should tell you this. You know, when David did the room in Atlanta, he put it under his name. And I think I told you the story where I wound up at a strip club, and I had eaten a ton of pork, and then I had to run home, and there was an incident, and it looked like there might be a problem in the lobby, and it would have been known forever as the day David Watson shit in the lobby in Atlanta. So David got smart. He goes, I'm putting it in your name in Philadelphia in case you shit in the lobby. I said, great. So I gave my name. I got registered. I went upstairs, and I was on the 18th floor, and I made my way upstairs. Get into my room, and it's a suite. Like Embassy Suites it's literally, I walk in, there's a couch and a chair and a kitchen table and a microwave and a sink and a fridge and a desk and a television, and then there's a separate bedroom. It's a 1-bedroom. I go in there, and the thing is, when he booked it, he told me, he goes, you know what, you have 2 double beds. He goes, that's just how they do it in the beginning, but you just call right away and switch it to a king. It shouldn't be a problem. I said, great. So Monday, before I left, I called up and I said, hey, I need to make sure that my room is switched. I think I have 2 double beds, and I'm coming in. I want it to be a king bed. And they go, oh, yeah, taken care of. I said, you sure? They said, yeah, it's a king bed, no problem. Great. So I check in, I get in the room, I go into my bedroom. Hey, there's 2 double beds. And already my suitcase is already in the bathtub because I don't want any bugs. So I go and I pick up the phone and I go, hey, I have a problem. I called up Monday. I reserved this room over a month ago, and I called Monday to make sure it was a king bed. I was assured that it was. I'm in my room. It's 2 double beds. They said, oh, well, that's what you're registered under. I said, I understand that, but I called Monday, and they said it was switched and it was a king bed. It wasn't a problem. They said, all right, well, hold on a second. We'll take care of it. And they put me on hold. And I turned the television on, and I sat on the couch, and I was on hold. And I was on hold for 8 minutes with the front desk. Now, that's on me. I should have hung up after 5 minutes or a couple minutes and then called back. But I waited because I didn't want to be a dick about it. But 8 minutes is a bit much. So I hung up the phone. And I called right back. And it was the same woman. And I said, hi, I was on hold for like 8 minutes and nobody came to help me. She goes, nobody came to help you? And I said, no. She goes, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I can't apologize enough. Please hold and I will get somebody to take care of you. Please hold. And I said, all right. So she put me on hold. And a couple minutes goes by and a woman comes on. She goes, Mr. Schmidt? I said, yes. And she goes, this is Dezonda. I work in the manager's office. I just want to apologize profusely for having you wait that long. I go, don't worry about it. I go, I don't mind as long as I get the room taken care of. She goes, well, we have a king room for you. I'm going to move you right now, and I'm going to give you a room with the city view, and I'm going to give you a room on the top floor. I want to apologize to you, and I tell you that I can't believe that this happened. It will never happen again. I'm sorry about the hold problem. And she's falling all over herself to apologize to me and switching my room and giving me a city view upstairs on the 27th floor. And it dawns on me, David Watson must be a fucking big shot. Like, because all they have is his record and his points and all that bullshit and my name. You know, it's literally, I'm posing as David Watson, and whatever he's got, I want some of it because the juice he has is strong. His Hilton hand is strong, David Watson. Because she goes, meet me up on the 27th floor. So I said, all right, because usually they make you come down to the desk and get your fucking keys. Well, I grabbed my stuff, and I hadn't unpacked anything. I go up, I get in the elevator. By the time I grabbed my stuff, it took me 2 minutes. I open the elevator, I get on, I go to 27, it opens. She's standing there waiting for me, Dezonda. And she goes, hi, I'm really, really sorry. She walks me over, and she lets me in and walks me through the room and looks at it and says, it's a king-size bed. And she goes, is this satisfactory? Is this okay for you? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. She goes, okay, I just want to make sure. We're really sorry about what happened. And I don't, like, part of me wanted to just go, I felt like fucking Eddie Murphy in Coming to America. Like, bark like a dog. I wanted to make her jump up and down and bark and, and do all that stupid shit because I was obviously in control of the situation. But I was so embarrassed by that. I get embarrassed by any fawning or any, whatever. It's weird. Like, I want good customer service, but when they go over and above, I almost feel weird. Like, stop that. You don't have to do that. You're still a person, But that's what they wanted to do. That's their gig. And I will tell you this, the rest of the weekend, whenever I went downstairs or came in at night, no matter what time it was, hello, Mr. Schmidt. How are you, Mr. Schmidt? The valets knew my name. Well, they knew my name because I almost fucking killed 9 people. Who am I kidding? But then all the people at the front desk knew me. They all knew me as Mr. Schmidt. Whenever I'd walk up for anything at all, Mr. Schmidt, hello, Mr. Schmidt. How are you, Mr. Schmidt? What's going on, Mr. Schmidt? Crazy. Different shifts knew me who hadn't met me. So I don't know what David's got, but I want some of it. So I then called Mark back because I was all settled in the room. And I was like, you want to eat? And he's like, yeah, man, I'll come to the hotel. I go, where do you want me to pick you up? You want to meet somewhere? Because, again, I have a car. He goes, no, man, I'll get to you. It's fine. And I'll be down in the lobby. I said, great. And I had, at the time, I had been in the air, and we had started selling Schmitty Comes Alive. So while I was flying, people had ordered it. So I needed to take an hour or two to go ahead and fill some orders. So he said he'd be in the room he'd be downstairs at like 7. I said, great. So I sat down on the couch and immediately fell asleep for an hour and a half because I had barely slept. I hadn't slept the night before. I'd only slept a few hours on the plane. So then I woke up and I'm like, fuck, I got to hustle. So I filled a bunch of orders, filled as many and caught up as much as I could. And I got a text from Mark saying he was downstairs. And I said, all right. He goes, I'm in a mustard yellow hoodie. You can't miss me. And I'm like, he's in a hoodie. Did he fly here? Because that's the only time you would wear a hoodie, right? He's on the plane. So I said, all right, in a minute. And then while I was asleep, more people had ordered. So I had to fill their orders. So I was filling, because I want to stay on top of it as much as I can because you guys are very nice and you're gracious enough to buy it. I want to get it to you as soon as I possibly can. So once I saw all the new orders, I went ahead and filled those. And I texted him and I said, I'm real sorry. And he actually texted back, don't worry, I'm seeing things down here I've never seen before. I don't even know what the fuck that means. But good for you. And I wanted to go, is it a guy parking on the sidewalk? Because I know you've only heard about that before. So I walked downstairs. There's Mark in his hoodie. And he looks like Jason Worth. If I can explain to you who he looks like. Jason Worth was an outfielder for the Phillies. He's now on the Washington Nationals. He looks just like Jason Worth. Why are you making a face? You don't know who Jason Worth is. But other people might. And other people may now Google Jason with a Y to find Jason Worth and go, oh, there's Mark. So So I said to Mark, he's like, all right, you ready to go eat? I said, yeah, where are we going? I said, do I need to get the car? And he goes, no. He goes, I figured we could walk. And apparently he doesn't remember that I'm fat, but okay, good for you. And I'm like, okay, cool, because we're right in downtown, so I figured there's got to be some cool stuff. And I go, all right, well, where are we going? If you picked anywhere out? And he goes, well, you know, I'm not really into food like you are, so no, I haven't really thought about it. And so basically, what he should have just said was, hey, you're fat. Where are we eating? And, you know, he said, I don't care so much about food. Like, literally, he goes, I don't care so much about food. Like, why? Then why are we going to fucking dinner? Why are you even coming to pick me up? Why didn't you tell me and I would have found a place and we would have gone somewhere? God damn it. But I'm like, all right. And he goes, where do you want to go? Do you have anywhere in mind? I go, no, I don't. Dude, I wish you would have said this 3 hours ago, but that's fine. So now we're walking to nowhere. That's our plan. Mark was meeting me for dinner, and the plan is to walk to nowhere until apparently we collapse, and hopefully there's food at the end of our walk. God damn it, Mark. How about a little effort? I almost killed 9 people parking in this fucking joint. I actually wanted to duck back in, and they would have gone, Mr. Schmidt. I would have said, where do we eat? So I said, all right, let's walk. And he's like, I go, look, all I know is I got to eat Scrapple somewhere. And he goes, well, I've never had Scrapple. And I'm like, well, are you from here? He goes, he's like, born and raised there. I'm like, God damn it. You don't know what Scrapple is? So, and look, I recognize this is my problem, not Mark's. So I said, look, I just know that I don't want to go to Pat's or Geno's. That's all I know. I don't want to, because I've heard their vomit. I don't want to eat their cheesesteaks. He's like, well, okay, you know, Jim's is a good steak place. I go, is it close? He's like, well, it's kind of a walk. And I'm like, well, you know, I had Tony Luke's when I was in town last time I had it at the baseball game. And he goes, Tony Luke's is good. And he goes, there's actually one pretty close. I said, all right. I said, I'll go to Tony Luke's. If you want to walk there, we can eat that. That's fine. Because they had a roast pork sandwich with broccoli rabe that I liked. And I said, I'll have that again. So we walk up the street. And, you know, it's a city. I will say I did welcome walking. Because I do love walking in a city. I just love the feel of it. I love the vibe. I love, you know, there's bars and people. And I just love it. So we are walking and we shoot up 18th Street. And we're looking for Tony's Luke's. And on the corner, there's an ice cream place called Sweet Endings. And he goes, oh, man. He goes, that place is great. I go, well, I don't think I want any ice cream. I'd like to get dinner if it's possible. And he goes, no. He goes, you see they got the huge windows? I go, yeah. And he goes, well, women will come in the summer and they'll get ice cream and they forget that they're wearing skirts. And they'll sit at the counter there, and you can look through the window and just look right up their skirts. And in my head, I'm like, well, no wonder he doesn't care much about food. He's a fucking pervert voyeur who's just... The only thing he knows about restaurants is he judges them by the size of their windows so he can look up and see vagina. That's like the only thing he wants to do. And good for him, by the way. I'm on board with that. That's absolutely, you know me, I'm all about the sneak peek, and that's great. But I love the fact that he has staked out one particular ice cream place for their window. And he's like, yeah, in the summer it's great because women forget they're wearing dresses. And I now, you know, like I said, he looks like Jason Worth. So he's got a big bushy beard. And I just picture him now in his mustard yellow hoodie with his big bushy beard just standing outside the window, slack-jawed, staring between the legs of every young girl who's eating fucking ice cream.
Oh my God.
Good for you, Mark. I'm on board. I'm back on with Mark. Sad I didn't come here in the summer.
Oh my God.
So we keep walking up the street. And finally he goes, hey, there's Tony's. And I figured Tony Luke's is like a big sandwich shop, you know, because we have Portillo's in Chicago. And I've been in these big, really big places. And I look over and across the street. It doesn't even say Tony Luke's. It says Tony's Jr. I go, that's it? He goes, yeah. I go, do they have tables in there? And he goes, yeah, I think so. So we walk over, we open the door. It's like a storefront sandwich joint. There's 2 tables with 4 chairs, 2 at each table. And you walk up to the counter and you order your sandwich, you sit down until they call your name and then you grab it or whatever. It's a takeout joint. Like that's where he brought me. Dude, I want to sit down somewhere. I've been on a plane all fucking day. And then we walk into this place that it smelled like we were sitting in a deep fryer too, by the way. Because that's all they're doing is they're making fried food and fucking grilled sandwiches in a shoebox. So we sit down at the table and we're talking, and we had a good conversation. And they bring the food, and hey, Tony Luke's, your food at the ballpark was great. Tony Jr., he needs some cooking lessons to make. Because she asked me, she goes, "Do you want provolone on your sandwich?" And I go, and I wasn't sure if I did. I'm like, I go, I don't know if I had it at the ball game. She goes, "Well, no, if you ordered the sandwich, you definitely had it." I said, "Okay," but for some reason, this provolone tasted like foot, like even more like foot than regular provolone does. So I barely ate the sandwich, man. And because it was also, we were in this small area and it just smelled like cooking. And I'm not part of it. Like, I don't vomit when I smell somebody cooking a steak. I don't mind the smell of cooking food. But that stale deep fryer smell, that's what it was. And I got fried mushrooms in a sandwich, and I ate some mushrooms. And I should tell you this, he ate his cheesesteak. Mark is a tiny guy. For a guy who doesn't care about food, he went through his cheesesteak like Bruce the Shark in Jaws. I mean, he fucking cleaned the thing out. It was gone. I wasn't even halfway done with my sandwich. And then I said to him, I go, "Do you want some of this?" He goes, "Nah, I don't want to eat your sandwich." I go, "No, I'm not going to eat it. It's okay." And then he mowed through like fucking 5 bites of my sandwich. I mean, he's this tiny guy who just fucking wolfed food. It was crazy. For a guy who doesn't care about food, man, he put it away. So we're sitting there and we're talking. And then finally I go, "Hey," and I should tell you, I'm wearing my Phillies hoodie. Like, I don't want it to stink like fried mushrooms. Like, I don't want to smell like that. That's fucking awful. So finally I go, "Hey, can we get out of here?" He goes, "What?" And I go, "Yeah, we'll talk in the hotel or something." I go, I can't sit in here and smell like fucking grease for 2 days. Because, look, folks, I'm trapped in this town, all right? They don't want me there. I know they don't want me there, and that's fine. But I'm not going to walk around stinking like grease and being a sore thumb. It's bad enough they don't like me, but now I can't give them a reason not to like me. I've still got to be me. I've still got to be fine. I've still got to be a guy who smells pleasant. I like smelling pleasant. But if I walk around the whole city in my new Philly outfit smelling like fucking fried mushrooms, awful. I give them a reason to hate me. I don't want to give them a reason. Because last time I was in town, they tried to fucking kill me. All right, it's obvious they don't want me there. They don't like me, but that's fine. I'm back, and I've got a smile on my face, and I just want to wear my Philly uniform and blend in. I just don't want to smell like grease. So he goes, "Yeah, fine." So we take off, and he takes me down 18th Street, and we're going to head back to the hotel. And it's the city. I like walking in the city, and that's the vibe. But even though I can feel it, everybody who walks by, head on a swivel. They look at me because they know I'm an outsider. I might have worn my Philly hoodie, and I'm not supposed to be there, but it's me against that fucking city. That's the whole thing. It's me against Philadelphia, folks. The first trip was, and I lost on a knockout. But now I'm back, baby. I'm back for a rematch. Back for a rematch. And the last thing I want to do in the rematch is come out smelling like grease. So fuck that. So everybody's giving me the eye, and I can see it, I can feel it, but I don't care. We get back to my hotel, and like I said, we're going to sit down in the lobby and talk. And I said, "Well, Mark, I'm going to go upstairs, and because I was going to take my hoodie off because I didn't want it to smell, just in case somebody was smoking in the lobby. I don't fucking know." I walk in, they're like, "Mr. Schmidt, how are you?" "I'm fine, thank you." You know what? That's the only island of Philadelphia that cares about me, is right in there, and that's only because they think I'm David Watson. So I go, "Well, I got to go upstairs." He's like, I said, "You want to come up?" And he goes, "Yeah." So we went upstairs. And we go into my room, and we made out. I'm not going to lie, we made out. All right, we didn't. I wanted to. I tried. I made a move. What the hell? So we go into the room, and I take my hoodie off. He sits down, and we're talking, and I got the baseball game on. And he's telling me all about Philadelphia and telling me about where he used to work. He was, he worked for an improv theater for a long time, and he's done stand-up. So in my room, I'm on the 27th floor, and there's a balcony. Like, it's amazing. You can, I didn't think you could, but you can open it up and go out on the balcony, and the view is fantastic. You can see everything. I can see the museum. I can see fountains, tall buildings, all that. So I said to him, I go, you can open this door. So he opened the door. He goes out on the balcony, and I went over to get something to drink. I grabbed a glass of water, and then I walked over, and I went to go join him on the balcony. Now, at the bottom of the door, there's a lip. A raised, it's about 2 inches up. It's the track for the door itself because it's a sliding door. So he's outside. I go walking over. And as I go to step outside, I trip on the lip of the door. And I stumble out into the balcony and I catch myself on the railing. The railing is about chest high. Between navel and chest for me, I'm 6'2". So I bang into the railing and I grab it. And I straighten up. And he says, "Hey, there's Love Park. He points out Love Park that we can see, and then he goes, that's City Hall right there. And if you look at the top, you can see the statue of William Penn. They lit it up. They lit up the hat there. And I guess there's a curse of William Penn he starts telling me about because I guess the Phillies didn't win the World Series until they put William Penn back at the highest point in the city. And he continues to talk about that. And then he finally stops talking to take a breath. And I look at him and I go, hey, you saw that I almost died a second ago, right? And he goes, oh yeah, that was crazy. And I go, yeah, Mark, I almost fucking died. I just want confirmation out of you, the stranger, who apparently has seen that sort of thing happen his whole life. But I just tripped and almost fell over the railing. You did see that, right? And he goes, yeah, that was kind of weird. And I'm like, yeah, it was weird. I almost died, Mark. I don't know if you got to go ahead and give me a travelogue of the goddamn city at this point because my heart is about to leap out of my fucking chest. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. I almost died. He goes, yeah, you did. And I go, good. That's all I want to know. He goes, well, I almost saw that once. I said, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, that building right there. He goes, I was partying with like a bunch of college idiots and they were getting high and they were doing coke. And then they started sitting like on the railing, like leaning over and like kind of hanging out and having fun. And I said, and one of them fell? And he goes, no. He goes, I don't know. He goes, I was at the party and they were hanging out and they were leaning over the railing and sitting on top of it and laughing. And I had to leave because I was so nervous and weirded out. I had to leave. I go, oh. I go, can you let me have my I almost died in Philadelphia story for more than 5 seconds before you top it with the teenagers on coke who almost died a building over? I don't give a fuck about teenagers or coke or anything that's going on over there. You saw me. I almost died. Let's make that your new story. Is that okay, Mark? We'll share it together. And he's laughing. He goes, all right, fine. I go, good. I just don't need you topping me with a teenagers doing coke story right when I'm still sweating in my palms after almost plummeting to my death. And believe me, I will land and the entire staff will run outside and be like, Mr. Schmidt, oh my gosh, Mr. Schmidt. And then they'll deactivate David Watson's account, and then it's all going to hit the fan. So Mark laughs. He's like, all right, yes, you almost died. I'm like, good, fine. But he starts pointing out stuff in the city, and I'm looking around. He's telling me I should walk around, and I figure, you know what, maybe the next day, because I didn't get to see any of Philadelphia last time I was here, because I was so actively hated by everyone. And also I was out at the fucking airport. You know what I mean? It's like I tried to come to the city and then I wound up at some fried chicken joint and a guy tried to break into my car. So it's like, fuck, I can't do it. So we talked for a couple hours, not even, maybe an hour and a half, watched the end of the baseball game. And he's like, I got to take off. I said, all right. And I asked him if he needed a ride home because he takes the bus or a train everywhere. And he goes, no, man, I'll be home like that. It's fine. He goes, and plus you'll never get back. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's actually a pretty good point. He almost saw me die once tonight. I don't think he wants to see me die again. So I walk downstairs with him, and he goes to take off, and he says he'll see me the next day at the show. And, it's late, but it's not that late, and I'm not that tired.
Oh, Jesus.
And I have a car. So I said, fuck it. You know what? I'm going out. If I see a diner, maybe I'll stop and have some Scrapple. The main reason I'm going out is to go find a supermarket because I want Propel. All right, I'm drinking tap water in my room, which is fine. I enjoy, tap water. Why not? Although in Philadelphia, I'm sure they know I'm there, so they've done something to the tap water. But the joke's on you. I am not having Bomb Pop and Chinese Rick. I'm adopting them. So they will not have your flipper hands, Thalidomide City. Thalidomide City, by the way, David Bowie's second biggest hit behind Suffragette City. Wham, bam, thank you. Look at his hands. Thalidomide City? Come on. Wham, bam. Look at his hands. Jesus. You know what? I've been telling Linda this whole time this show's not funny. I go, God damn it. I don't feel funny. This is awful. I don't give a fuck. I just made up for it with wham, bam. Look at his hands. Fucking Thalidomide City. Don't lean on me, babe. All right. I can't afford the ticket back to Thalidomide City. Holy shit. And where were the spiders? All right, so, folks. Honestly, you have no idea how much my mood just improved in 90 seconds. Because I'm sitting here telling Lily, I go, it's a travelogue. I've done this every time I go to a city. I tell them what I do, and it's so what? And she's like, so this is the show. This is what you do, idiot. She's trying to get me out of my own fucking skull. Yes, it's written down. I see. But wham, bam, look at his hands. That makes up for everything. That's my cell phone is Einstein, but the ringer's Jerry Lewis of this show. All right. So I get in the car and I drive around, and I wish I had a long, involved story about almost dying and heading out to places. But you know what I did, folks? This is exactly what I did. I drove out of the parking lot, and I drove around the hotel for like maybe 2 miles, and I did, because I didn't want to keep. It's all one-way street. You know, if you've been in a city, every city I've been in Boston, it's like one way, one way, one way. Even in LA, one way, one way, one way. And I knew if I went down a series of one-way streets and I kept doing it, I would eventually be lost. And then I'd have to break out my phone, and then Murder Town would come out of the shadows. And, William Penn himself would come out and fucking beat my ass in the statue somehow, because there's this curse of William Penn I've heard about. And it almost got me as I almost fell off the tallest building. So I didn't want to get my ass beat or murdered or whatever the fuck. So I chickened out, man. I drove for like 15 minutes, and I stopped, and I programmed my phone, looked for supermarkets. I drove in circles, and then I just went back to the fucking Embassy Suites. I just went back. And the weirdest thing, there was a shift change by the time I got back, because the guy who helped me when Mark left, he was the guy who helped me. The guy who took over my car. Hey, you want me to help you? You want me to take over? That guy? But then by the time I got back, there was some weird Yosemite Sam looking motherfucker working there with a huge, like a mustache, the kind of mustache you could grab and stroke all the way down past your chin. Like it hung. It was like mutton chop mustache. Literally, I'm not joking. Yosemite Sam, that's what he looked like. And he called me a varmint. So that definitely sealed the deal. You want me to take over here, varmint? All right. So I parked the car and I went upstairs. I said, fuck it. So I then got on the internet and filled more orders. Thank you so much for purchasing Schmitty Comes Alive, on sale now at the Joe Business page. A story I've never told on here and never will, quite frankly. So there, that's right. I can't lie. I want to tell that story here. So I stayed up super late and finally got to sleep around like 6:30. And then I said, well, I'll get up at like 1 and figure out the show. And I did. I woke up at 1 o'clock. But I wanted to walk around the city a little bit. Like I've been doing this thing where Fridays are for the show. So I stay ensconced in my hotel and I learn the show. Like I try to figure out what I mean, but I'd only traveled one day. So it wasn't like I had a whole shit ton of stuff to worry about. It was like, really, Mark doesn't care about food and doesn't care that I almost died. That's it. That was my Thursday. Because you know what my Thursday was supposed to be? I was coming to town to see the fucking Flyers and the Penguins. But then the NHL, which is the Philadelphia of sports leagues, decided that they hate me too, and they canceled the first couple weeks of the season because there's a fucking lockout. And don't think I don't know that you did that on purpose, NHL. I know you knew I was coming to town. You made a phone call to Murder Town, and they called William Penn, and you had a fucking party line and decided fuck Schmidt. So I had nothing to do Thursday besides almost die a couple times. And then I had been convinced by Mark. He's like, you're really kind of in the city. You can go see City Hall. There's all sorts of stuff. And there's a lot of history in Philadelphia. So in my head, I go, you know what? I think I want to do that. But also, I should tell you, I had to go out of the hotel because I needed to buy a hairbrush. Because I had forgotten my hairbrush here in California. And I have long hair now. Like short hair, nobody cares. I just chimp it up and throw some shit in it. But unfortunately, I need to brush it back or it falls in my eyes, and especially for the show itself. And look, you don't care about how follicularly challenged I am. I know, I get that. But I needed a hairbrush, so I took that as a good opportunity to walk around the city as well. But first, hairbrush. So I walked out, and when I walked home from Tony's Jr. after watching Mark set a world record for eating cheesesteaks and sandwiches, he took me up to 17th, and we walked past the Walgreens. And I love Walgreens. Every city I'm in, that's fine. And I should tell you, we actually stopped in that Walgreens. I should mention this. We stopped in the Walgreens, and we walked in, and there were quite a few urbanites, Philadelphia-ites in there, and there was a line at the counter, and there was a woman at the ATM machine who continuously kept turning around and loudly announced that she had no money to everyone in the building. It won't give me no money! And they're like, you got to push your secret code. And she's like, I did. It says I ain't got no money, but I know I got money. And everybody's like, well, we don't, because she was with one other woman, but that woman wasn't helping. So everybody else then decided to help her because she kept yelling. She did not know how to use an ATM. She didn't know she said she knew her secret code, but it said that she didn't have any money. And then someone went to assist her, and it turned out she hadn't even Like her name wasn't even up there. So they're like, you got to put your card in. So she was trying to put her secret code in without putting her card in. I mean, I don't know what the fuck was going on. She was challenged. She was ATM challenged, and that M stood for mentally. And I think the AT stood for always totally. That woman is always totally mentally challenged. Look at her hands. So she's fucking punching buttons and no money's coming out and she can't understand why. And Mark and I are like, we gotta get the fuck out of here. Because again, I know it was some sort of weird trap to get me to try to help her. And then I would get sucked into the ATM machine and be forced to give out money to people in Philadelphia for the rest of my fucking life. So I had seen the Walgreens and I bailed but I knew the next day I needed a hairbrush. So I said, I'll hit Walgreens first and then I'll walk around. I'll go find the museum steps. I'll run them like Rocky. I'll film it. And I guess there's like 9 Rocky statues. They keep moving around the city. I have no idea. Whatever. I'll find something. It'll be awesome. So I went out and I walked down 17th and it was gorgeous out, man. It was like 72 degrees and beautiful. And I walked down 17th Street and there are people outside walking around and hot girls. I did not walk down 18th Street to go to Sweet Endings because it was not warm enough to peer in and look at women's underwear, Mark. But thank you for the idea. If I come back, it's in the summer and I know exactly where I'm going. Just me and Mark setting up lawn chairs on the curb and staring up between women's legs. So I go to Walgreens. And I'm walking through the city and I get down to the Walgreens. There's a homeless dude outside. And, I want to be nice to him. But you know me, I just go, yeah, sorry, I can't help you. So I duck in and I go find a hairbrush. And I didn't want to buy like a crazy expensive one because I'm not, again, my hair's going to be gone soon. So what the fuck? So I grab a hairbrush, I look around, I pay, I walk out. And as I'm walking out, I'm holding my change in my hand. I paid with a 10 and it was like $7. And so I've got $3 or $2 in change. And there's the homeless guy and he sees me and now I'm actually holding money in my hand. So if I say I can't help you today, Chief, now it's clearly a lie. I mean, earlier, I may not have had any cash. I may have just had plastic. Who knows what the fuck I had. But now I'm holding it out as if I were to hand it to the next person who asked me for money. So I'm holding $2 in change, or whatever it is, and he turns around and he looks at me. And everybody was ignoring him, but he sees me and I've got money in my, and I know I'm dead. I'm dead to fucking rights. And in my head, I'm just like, it's fucking $2, $3, who cares, whatever. Because I don't mind helping people. I just don't want to fucking help people. You know what I mean? It's like, I need that $3. I do. I might lose my hairbrush again. I might have to come back. So he looks at me and he makes that homeless guy face where he knows and he sees me and he saw me already and he recognizes me. So I go to walk by and I'm thinking maybe he won't say anything. Maybe he won't. Maybe I can hide my money right away, which will look even worse because he saw me holding it already. So then I hurriedly stuff it in my fucking pocket. I can't do that. So I just hold it and hope he doesn't say anything. So I take a couple steps and he turns around and then he bodies me like he's right on me. And he's like, can you help me today, folks? You give me some spare change there, sir? And I go, yeah, sure. And I go, and I hold my hand out and he puts out his hands and I just give him all the money. Like I give him all the change and the bills. And he goes it and he puts it in his pocket and he goes, bless you, sir. Thank you. And I go to walk away and he steps in front of me. He won't let me pass. He goes, I said, bless you, sir. Thank you so much for your help. And I go, you're welcome. No problem. And he goes, bless you, sir. And he pulls his hand out of his pocket and he goes to shake my hand.
Oh.
Now, I've been struck with hobo adhesive before. All right, I've been stuck to a hobo and I've had to shake hands and I've been hugged by the homeless. It's no fun. It's no fun. I don't care what city you're in. And also, this could be an elaborate trick. Like he may have been planted there by the city itself. He may have got pulled out some like extreme joy buzzer. I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. But sure enough, he puts his hand out and I can't not shake his hand. I can't because then I'm a dick. All right, then I'm the worst person ever, right? So I reach my hand out and I shake his hand. And as I shake his hand, he presses something into my hand. So he's giving me something in the handshake. And I don't want to look. I don't. Because part of me laughs. Because part of me is like, in my head, I'm like, is he giving me my money back? Like, that's the weirdest. Does he think you need it more than I do, friend? Like, is it that kind of thing? But it's a homeless guy. Who the fuck knows? Maybe he doesn't even know what was stuck to his hand that is now stuck in my hand. He's because the homeless are sticky. We know this. We've talked about this before. So I don't know what it is, and I maybe he doesn't even know what it is. But he presses it into my hand, and as he presses it in my hand, he goes, help prevent homelessness. And I'm like, okay. And he's still holding my hand, shaking it. And then I think about it. I'm like, well, wait a minute. What if he's like a magical homeless guy? Like a genie, like Bagger Vance, but in horrible pants? And he's there to grant my wishes, and he was waiting for the first guy to help him, and now I'm getting like what if it's like the Powerball ticket, like the winning Powerball ticket, and he knows he's there to grant me a wish? What if he's like the Willy Wonka of homeless guys? And he's been waiting all day for somebody to give money. Everybody bypassed him, and I gave him almost $3, and he's like, so shines a good deed in a weary world. And he's putting an everlasting gobstopper in my hand at that moment. Because believe me, let's face it, the homeless are always, I think the homeless themselves are everlasting gobstoppers when you think about it. But he's sticky and he's pressing something into my hand. And I'm like, that's an everlasting gobstopper. He's the Willy Wonka of homeless people. Maybe he's saving me. There's magic. And he looks at me again and he goes, prevent homelessness. God bless you. And he takes his hand away and I take my hand away. And I look in my hand, and crumbled up in my hand are 3 condoms. Three, and just the weirdest number. And I should tell you, they're wrapped up. Let's go ahead. They're in their wrappers. They're not loose condoms. If they're loose condoms, we have a real problem. That would explain a lot.
Oh my God.
But instead, it's 3 Trojans crumbled up, and he put them in my hand. And that's what he's saying, prevent homelessness with these condoms. And like I said, 3 of them. That's like $7, like a box of condoms. I don't know where he's getting condoms. And then I was thinking, is he, because I'm in Philadelphia, and we know that AIDS was a problem in Philadelphia, at least for one lawyer in the 90s. We're aware of that, right? So maybe it's a citywide effort. And then I tried to he turned around. I'm like, was that Denzel Washington? Maybe that was Denzel Washington. I'm waiting for Jason Robards to come down and scowl at me. I've got a handful of crumbled up condoms. And I'm frozen. Like, I don't know what the fuck to do because, again, he was like magical and he handed them to me and I gave him the money and I've got my hairbrush and I'm going to walk the city, except now I got these condoms. And the thing is, I could have thrown them away. I could have thrown them on the ground, but I felt that would be rude and awful in front of him. So then I'm like, well, maybe I'll walk a little bit, but then what do I do with them? So you know what I did? I tucked them in the kangaroo pouch of the hoodie. And just walked back to my hotel. Like I abandoned all thought of sightseeing or seeing City Hall or anything. Because all I wanted to do was boil my fucking hand. That was it. And the best part is I get back to the hotel, like I'm still in kind of a daze. And I walk up and I go in. And then I go to unload my stuff and I put my wallet and my keys. And then I reach in and I grab the hobo condoms and I throw them on the goddamn table. I didn't want to smell like fried mushrooms, but now I smell like hobo condoms. This is a $65 hoodie I'm wearing and I jammed hobo condoms in the kangaroo pouch. I might as well have just made out with that guy on the plane. Jesus Christ. And I could have thrown them away at any time. I walked past garbage cans. I was in the lobby. But then I didn't want people in the lobby to see me throwing away 3 condoms. Like, what the... is he crazy rich? Or doesn't that guy want to prevent homelessness? What's wrong with that guy?
Oh my God.
So I left them on my table. And I just sat... I boiled my hand. I fucking hot water. And then I said, just learn the show. That's why I don't go out on Fridays. This is why I do not go out on Fridays. So I sat down, figured out what the fuck to talk about at the show. And I'd been exchanging emails with Carlos, the guy who ran the Latvian Society. And I told you he put me in a different room because there was a bigger stage room and then I hadn't sold many tickets. By showtime, I had sold 19 tickets. And I arrived at the Latvian Society. I drove. It was not far. Like I said, 1.5 miles. I talked to Carlos. He goes, we'll put some cones out front to save a spot for you. But he didn't have to. There was plenty of parking, so I parked. Went inside. And it's funny, I was in the Latvian Society, and I kept making fun of that. And it is exactly what I thought it would be. It was like a VFW hall, but for Latvians. I don't know if they've had any FWs over there or if there are any Vs in Latvia, but we know there's one in the center. But so I went there, I walked in, and it was just a place with like end tables and maps and busts of famous rulers, and there was a bar, and he took me in the back room, and it was just this weird setup where it was this sepia toned room with it had lights and barely. It had chandeliers, like those little old chandeliers your grandma used to have, but then he had two lights trained toward a makeshift stage because he actually built me one, like a weird black like riser. And the tables were little. You know what it looked like? It looked like if you went to your aunt's house for Thanksgiving, but all the tables were the kids' table. Because there were all these little square, like bridge tables, like almost like card tables, but made out of wood, and the chairs. Jesus Christ, these were weapons grade, awful. I mean, they were just so hard, and I felt so bad for the people who were gonna have to sit in them and listen to me talk. So I met Laris. And by the way, I should tell you this. I told you about Mark. He looks like Jason Worth. And we're talking, and Mark tells me he's 39 years old. I'm like, Jesus Christ, because he looks like he's 26. So then I meet Laris there. He's running the sound and the lights, and we start talking. And I said, what are you, like 22? Why do they got you running this? And he goes, I'm 37. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what is the bubble of sadness around the city so tight that it doesn't let aging in? So he checks out, he does the lights and the sound, we figure it all out, and they bring me into the green room, which was a kitchen in the back. There were 4 old ladies making a roast and a turkey. It was nice. And the best part was that you had to go through like 4 hallways to get to the kitchen. So it was like the tracking shot from Goodfellas, but if it was filmed by the guys from Little House on the Prairie. Like it was just this small little rinky-dink type of place. But it was, look, and they hosted me, and I'm happy. I was so thrilled. Believe me, nobody else in the city fucking wanted me, and Carlos reached out, so thank you. But it was a tiny, small, weird-looking place. And then our friend Sarah J., who's a friend of the show, she got there first. She got there super early, and I talked to her for a while out by the bar. Then I'm like, I got to go learn some jokes. So I went in the back to learn some jokes, and by the time I took the stage, there were 22 people. 3 people walked up. And then the people who were there for the show itself, Latvians, I should say this, when I got there, there were old Latvians who thought there was like a clog dancing ritual that night or something. Like they were, and they don't speak English. They're because every sign is in Latvian and English, and English is a second language to most of the people who come there. So they poked their head in, and he's like, "There's a comedy show if you want to stay." And I'm like, "You don't, like, just leave, old man. Don't get tricked by Carlos." Because Carlos is just trying to sell tickets. I'm like, dude, no, don't sell tickets to people who are going to want their money back in 15 minutes. And by 15 minutes, I mean 15 seconds. Because if there's some old dude expecting clog dancing and my fat ass gets up on a makeshift black riser, he's going to be like, was ist das? Because apparently Latvians speak German. But I don't care what the fuck he's going to say. You know what? He will be so amazed and horrified that I wasn't clog dancing, he would turn his Latvian into German on the way out of his head. His brain would go, fuck that. We got to panic. German. Was ist das? So I go in the back and I sit at the table in the kitchen amidst the Ritz crackers and the sociables. And I start plotting some jokes and figuring out what the hell I'm going to talk about. And I forgot to tell Laris, as we ran everything, I forgot to tell him, please don't cut a song in the middle. Because then all of a sudden we're going through, and I told him I want to start at 10 after 8, and I failed to say I want to start at 10 after 8, but do not cut a song. And then at 10 after 8, I'm standing up, and I'm waiting, and Night Train is playing, and I'm like, all right, well, I'll probably go on after Night Train. And then all of a sudden my theme song just starts. That's right, I have a theme song, folks. But that starts playing, and then I came out on stage, and I made fun of Laris, and I made fun of myself for not telling him, and then I did the show. And what was funny is I go outside, start doing the show, and Mark, our friend Mark, Mustard Yellow Hoodie Mark, I like staring at women's crotches Mark, making out with me in the hotel Mark, I party with teenagers and cocaine Mark, Mark. Hey, you almost died, I can top it Mark, that guy. He's in the front row. And he's sitting right at the front table. And so I immediately go, really? You're sitting in the front, Mark? And I kind of busted his balls for like 9 seconds, and he got up and left. I go, you don't have to leave. And he goes, no, that's okay. And he went and sat in the back because there's only 20 people in the fucking room. It's not, and what was funny is like, do you think I can't see you back there, Mark? There's nobody here. There were 22 people plus employees. And one sneaky old man still looking for clog dancing. So Mark picks up his stuff and he goes into the back and he leaves our friends Travis and was it Rob? I don't remember the other person at the front table. I'm an idiot. I remember Travis was there because I looked at Travis and I went, Trevor? And he kind of makes a face and I go, Troy? And he goes, Travis. I go, I knew it because I had met him before the show. And then I did the show. And first of all, I asked everybody because, like I said, there was only 22 people there. And Paul, our friend Paul, came up from West Virginia with his wife. He had seen me in Washington, D.C. already. And I recognized faces. And Andrea, because I asked her after the show, I go, you're Andrea or Andrea? She goes, I'm Andrea. So Andrea was there, and she brought her husband with this time. He did not come to the last show. And so I asked people, and I go, how many people here have not seen the show by applause? And it was about half the room, maybe a little less. Because Mark had seen it, Carlos had seen it, Sarah J. had seen it, Andrea had seen it. These people all saw me the last time I was in Philadelphia. And in my heart, not in my heart, in my head, I went, why in my heart? In my head, I said, well, you know what? These people have seen this. And this is going to be a drag for them because they've already seen the show and they know what to expect and they know the beats and they know what's going on. So in my head, I was like, I guess I could kind of just, I wasn't going to do 3 hours. In my head, I go, you know what? Don't do that. Cut a story here or there and they're in uncomfortable chairs and they've seen it before. So just get the fuck out of here. What are you doing? You know, you're just holding people prisoner against their will. And then I start talking and it's going very well. They're very nice. They're laughing at stuff and I'm making fun of whatever's happening. And then I actually tell them and I go, you know, it's funny. I was disappointed because you guys have all seen this and I don't know if you're going to want to see it again or why you're even here. And then it dawned on me, you all paid. I mean, that's the thing. Because I was going to cut it short. Like in my head, I was just like, you know what? I can cut this short and we'll all get out of here. And then I went, well, they all paid to fucking see me. And I flew out from Los Angeles. Like all those factors they slipped away as I stood on stage and I saw a room full of people who had basically seen the show. And in my head, I'm like, oh man, they don't want to see the same thing. But guess what? They do. That was why they paid to see it a second time. They're supporting me, certainly, but also they want to see the show. And in my head, like I said, I had this epiphany where I said, well, fuck, these people don't really care that much about it and they don't want to see the same thing. It's going to be the same thing. They're going to be bored. And instead, there's a performer inside of me who I didn't even know lived there. And he emerged from the tree in my chest where the elves live and make cookies, and they let him live there. And he pokes his head out, and he says, hey, dumb fuck. Instead of thinking, oh, they don't want to be here, they've already seen it, we can cut it short and get out of here, why don't you do the show better than the last time you did it when you were here? So they don't regret paying you, and maybe they even come and see you again after this. You know, you're not Axl Rose. You don't get to fucking cut it short or show up late or do that shit. You don't have built-in audience goodwill just yet. You're still proving yourself as a storyteller, as a performer, as a comedian, and there's no reason for you to find a reason to slack off. You should fucking kill it. Because these people who haven't seen it are going to be grateful, and the people who have seen it are going to go, holy shit, that was better than last time. So why not fucking do that? Make an effort, dumb fuck. And that all went out of my head while I was on stage. I'm not even joking. And so that's what I did. I buckled down and did a better version of the show than they saw the last time. The last time I was in Philadelphia, I did 2 hours and 59 minutes. This time I did 3 hours and 13 minutes. And they felt every one of it, every single second of it as they sat there getting sciatica in their backs on these fucking terrible chairs. But at the end of the show, they were gracious and friendly and nice, and they all came up and bought shirts and wanted to meet me and thank me for coming. And when in reality, I thank them. I thank all of them because these are people who've seen it before. They didn't have to come out a second time or a third time in some people's cases or a fourth time in some people's cases. Our friend Liana came, and she's seen me in D.C. and in Philadelphia and in New York and now in Philadelphia again. And she actually had to bail. I didn't get to talk to her to thank her again for coming. But it was just amazing. Her and her girlfriend were there, and I saw them slip out. It had to be because of the chairs. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of. It was really kind of uncomfortable. And also Leanna's met me. She probably doesn't want to, what's she going to do? Say hi to me again and feel awful because she takes pity on me and says hi. So it was nice of her to show up again. So great. And I met people. I met Tim and Jessica. I met everybody after the show. Everybody who wanted to stay and talk. Jason, I met Jacob too, was there. I met great people who all had really, that's another thing is, I do this show and whatever, I'm in your head and you guys you kind of relate to me and that's cool and I appreciate it. And you buy the stuff I offer and you come and see me live. But then you send me notes and you tell me, hey man, I had a shitty 6 months and the only thing I knew was that you were going to be there on Thursday. And I cannot tell you how happy that makes me. That's why I get in my own head, honestly, about this show when I'm like, this isn't funny enough. It's not good enough. It's not this. It's not that. And you guys are cool. You guys are all like, oh yeah, no, we're glad about it, dude. Whatever you do is great. And whatever you put out is really good. And you're hard on yourself. And Lily tells me, she's like, why are you beating the shit out of yourself? This is stupid. The show's funny. This is what the show is. But I want to do so much for all of you because you've done so much for me that I want to amp it up and be as funny as fucking possible. And I hope it is. But you guys are great and you come out to the show and everybody was really nice. Afterwards, I hung out. I met people. They bought shirts. I ran out of some shirts because I didn't bring many because I didn't think there was going to be that many people, but there weren't. But I didn't count on the entire room wanting to buy shirts, which was nice. So I sold out of what I brought. And, met people and everybody was very friendly. Afterwards, I was hanging out with Sarah J. She had to take off early because I had hung out with her in Philadelphia. She had claimed me. She was the first person who ever claimed me anywhere. And so she and I hung out there, and then I hung out with her in New York. And then she had to go. She had to split. She had family stuff to go. So I hung out with her a little bit. And then guys were in the room, and then they walked out, and they saw me outside talking to Sarah J., and they drifted over. I go, what are you guys doing? And they said, nothing. And it was South Philly Paul of the South Philly Paul podcast. And or Paulcast, I think. I don't know. It's this, whatever. He was there, and Travis was there, and Mark was there. The three of them, and they came out and we were talking. And I said, "What are you guys doing?" And they said, "Nothing." And they said, "You want to hang out and go eat?" I said, "Yeah, I absolutely do." And they said there was a diner 2 blocks away. I said, "Perfect." I said, "Go ahead of me, get a table. I'm going to say goodbye to Sarah, and I'll be right up there." So I talked to Sarah J a little bit more because I didn't want her to fucking fall asleep driving back home. So I made sure she was fine. She bailed. I walked over to the diner, met them, and I had a great time. I hung out. Like I said, it was Mark, Travis, me, and South Philly Paul. And it was a diner, but it was attached to a nightclub. So it had like really loud music, but it was great. I don't know how to explain it because I felt really good about the show anyway. And I ordered, my buddy Pat Francis, whenever we go out to eat, wherever we go, he orders fish and chips. And I make fun of him everywhere we go. He'll get it at Denny's. He'll get it at fucking Burger King. He doesn't give a shit. Fish and chips. And I'm like, why are you getting fish and chips? He goes, I like fish and chips. All right. So they brought the menu, and they had like a bunch of amazing specials, and they had like a lamb burger with arugula, and it was one of those fancy joints. And then they had fish and chips. And I said, fuck it. I'm getting fish and chips in honor of my friend Pat in a diner at fucking 2 a.m. Why not? And it was, you know why it was tempura battered? It was fresh. It was fresh fish that they battered. It wasn't like some frozen bullshit. It was amazing. And then they had that lamb burger and they had tzatziki, homemade tzatziki sauce. So I said, dude, bring me some tzatziki sauce for my fries. I put it all over my fish. It was like so delicious. I could have licked the fucking cup. It was awesome. I love tzatziki sauce. And the 4 of us just shot the breeze, man, and hung out. Travis had taken a bus from New York for the show. Paul drove in from West Virginia. It was crazy, the amount of people who traveled such distances to come to the show, and I can't thank you all enough. You're so cool. So it was good. It was good that I got to hang out with Travis and Paul, and then we ate, and we walked back to where our cars were. Travis had a bus at 4 a.m, and I was like, you want me to drive you to the bus station or whatever? He's like, no, I'll get there. That's fine. They said they would get him there. They said, we don't want you to die on the streets of Philadelphia, so go back to your hotel. And I hopped back in the car, went back to the hotel, and I had made plans with Carlos the next day to go eat. I wasn't sure where when I got there, but I knew the place I wanted to go. It's a diner called Honey Sit and Eat. It was on the Food Network, and they had Scrapple. That was it. They made Scrapple on the food, and I'm like, good. We're going to get Scrapple at Honey Sit and Eat. You go to their website. It's got their menu. It's got a bunch of cool food. They have a fucking Nutella stuffed French toast. I mean, all sorts of shit like that. I said French, but I don't give a shit about that. I like a savory breakfast, as you know. But I wanted Scrapple. That was the main thing. So I told Carlos to meet me at 1. Oh, and David Watson came to the show, as I mentioned, our friend David, who got me the hotel room. And I explained to him, because I said on stage, I don't know what kind of stroke you have over there. And he's like, you know what? I'm in a Hilton every week, every single week. He travels all over the place. So he then texted me, and he's like, hey, I don't know if you have plans for tomorrow, if you want to eat, but I'm in town. My plane doesn't leave till 6, and mine didn't leave till 6 either. So I wrote him and I said, well, I'm meeting Carlos for dinner. He's going to be here at 1 o'clock for lunch. You're more than welcome to join us. And he wrote me, he's like, I'm definitely in. So I said, great. So I went home to the hotel room, and I was there, and I felt great about the show, but I couldn't sleep. I was all wired, and I got back to the room about 3:15, and I knew they were going to be there at 1, but I stayed up until 6:30, and then crashed. Got up, grabbed a shower, packed, met them downstairs, checked out. Mr. Schmidt, hello, Mr. Schmidt. Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. And I was going to get my car, and the guys were like, well, why don't we just take a cab? So I checked my luggage. We got in the cab, hopped over. Fucking David paid for the cab. Ridiculous. I should tell you, at Silk City Diner, they wouldn't let me pay. David picked up my room. And also, I checked out, and they go, okay, well, you're square. I said, well, yeah, but you got to charge. I need a receipt for my incidentals. They said, it's been taken care of. David Watson showed up and paid for my parking. Remember the $91 in parking for 2 days? Yeah, he paid for it. Ridiculous. So as I mentioned, I took a beating ticket-wise, but in the long run, who cares? I mean, it was just amazing to see all you guys and everybody. Nobody would let me drop a dime for food or anything. It was just, I can't explain to you how grateful I am. So, and it's the only reason I'm considering coming back to Philadelphia. And I'm not even joking, because I told Lily, I go, man, this is the second show, and this is the worst tickets I'd ever sold was 29 in Philadelphia. I go, well, now I sold 22. And I said, but I'm thinking of going back. And she's like, why? Well, this is why. I mean, because everybody was so cool and stepped up, and even if there's 22 people, if they're 22 awesome people, why wouldn't I go back? So I actually talked to Carlos. I said, I'd really like to come back. And he's like, well, anytime. Let's figure it out. So he and I are working on a date. Although everybody who was there is just like, my back, I can't go there. I'll figure something out. If I have to buy chairs for the fucking room, we'll figure it out. So David paid my parking. We grab a cab. We go. He pays for the fucking cab. We go to Honey Sit and Eat, and there's a wait of like 40 minutes, which I knew there would be. We hung out just talking about Carlos's. He's got a girlfriend there who works for theater groups, and she organizes shows. She had a matinee, so she couldn't join us. I asked Carlos. He's the president of the Latvian Society. Young guy. He's like 30. And I go, well, how long are you president? And he's like, I'm forever long. He goes, it's a year, but after a year, if they still like what I'm doing, then I get to stick around and be president again. And his brother's like the treasurer. And I'm just like, you guys this is a bust out, right? You're busting out the Latvians. Money comes in the front, goes out the back. You're selling the equipment, the busts of the Latvian generals. So we go in and we sit down to eat. And they asked us if we would share a table. There was a 6-top, and they said, can you share it with 3 other people? They'll be at the end. And I said, yeah, I don't care. Yeah, it's fine. So we go in, and it's a woman. She's probably a little older than us, maybe 50. And she's with a younger girl who looked like Liv Tyler. And she's got a baby. And yeah, that's what Carlos did. Carlos is like a fucking baby, whatever. So we sit down at our end, and they give us our menus. And the baby is completely silent. He's like a soldier. He's like so quiet. And Liv Tyler stands up, and she bends over to help the baby. And Liv's not, she's wearing a feeding bra, but I got a nice shot down her shirt. I almost called Mark. Hey, Mark, guess what? Let's get some ice cream and check out Liv Tyler's shirt. But it turned out that thrill lasted for about a second, because then she sat down and breastfed the baby at the table. She threw a blanket over herself and stuffed the baby under there, and I was like, no wonder she's wearing that fucking funky bra, And so they're on their end. They order their food. We start looking. I look at the menu, and No Nutella French toast, which is fine. Again, I didn't want it. But they had a weird thing as a special, and I'm like, well, I got to get that. That's retarded. I have to get that. And then I start looking on the menu for scrapple. No scrapple. They have bacon, they have ham, they have sausage. There's no scrapple under breakfast meats. And I look for it in a special breakfast. There's no scrapple on the menu. It's on the website. It says our famous scrapple or whatever the fuck. So the waiter comes over. He's like, hey, can I help you guys? I go, yeah, scrapple. He goes, don't have it. I go, why not? He goes, because we don't make it. Like he was like mad at me. Because I came out a little strong, I won't lie. But I go, it's on the website. Like it says it's like a famous thing. He goes, we used to make it every day. And then we would sell one piece a day. And so they stopped making it unless it's a special. I said, yeah, but on the website, it says like famous scrapple here. And he's like, I'm not the web guy. So,
Oh my god.
and he's not wrong. So I said, all right. So we started looking at the food and they had a thing that was, like I said, it looked funky, but it didn't come with any eggs or anything. But then they had a platter that had eggs and bacon and a short stack. And I said, can I mix these two up? He goes, yeah, it'll cost a little extra. I said, that's fine. So Carlos ordered a Mediterranean omelet with olives and capers and just a plate of vomit with eggs. I mean, when the food came, I go, I got to take pictures of the food. And he gets his omelet. I go, not your food. I mean, literally, an omelet with olives in it, get fucking bombed. Awful. So he gets his food, and David Watson ordered a Challah Cristo, which is a Monte Cristo with challah bread. And like this fresh ham, and I mean it two eggs on top. It looked amazing. And then there was a special thing that they said, and David goes, I'm getting that. We'll all split it. It was a cinnamon roll, okay? But when I say a cinnamon roll, you think to yourself, well, like a Cinnabon, or is it big or whatever? No, bullshit. This thing was tiny. Like it was the size of a hamburger bun. It was really small. They took a cinnamon roll, and when they rolled it, they put bacon in it. Inside the cinnamon as they rolled it up. So there was bacon within the cinnamon roll. And then they deep fried it.
Oh, Jesus.
And they covered it with like a caramel type of sauce. Yeah, no, it was amazing. Come on, you eat those red velvet pancakes, which taste like dessert.
Yeah, but I don't like bacon and sweet together.
I usually don't, but for cinnamon and for breakfast, because it still tasted like breakfast. And it was so good. It was like a maple caramel that they put on top of it. God damn, was it good. And I ate one bite and went, I'm going to have sugar shock if I fucking finish this thing. Because he bought it for the table. We didn't finish it. Each of us ate like a bite and went, that's delicious. Get it away from us. So my breakfast, because they had, this was the thing. They had home fries, and then they had grits, and I see that shit. And I'm a breakfast dude. Like I want all that stuff. Like I would order all the side dishes and say fuck everything else. But they had this breakfast, and I said, all right, I want 2 over easy eggs with bacon, and burn the shit out of the bacon. And then they had potato latkes that they made, homemade potato and onion latkes. I said, you get that or home fries or grits. I said, you know what? Bring me a lot, because I was going to get latke and then a side of home fries. I'm like, I can get home fries in California. I go, bring me 2 over easy eggs and burn the shit out of the bacon and give me the onion potato latke. And I go, can I get the special pancakes with the dinner? He goes, yeah, it'll cost you a little extra. So I got a short stack of macaroni and cheese pancakes.
Jesus.
Yeah, you're goddamn right. And it was funny because Mark couldn't join us. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, of course you couldn't join us because you don't care that much about food. Because this place serves actual food. Because then I got to tell you this. When we were walking back from Tony's Jr. after being in Walgreens and seeing the woman with the ATM and Mark, all that bullshit, we're 10 steps from the fucking Embassy Suites. He goes, yeah, I'm sorry about that sandwich. I know you didn't like it. I go, that's a fine. I go, you didn't make it. It's no big deal. He goes, yeah, there's a Morimoto here too that we could have gone to. I'm like, what are you saying? He goes, there's a Morimoto, like a sushi restaurant. The Iron Chef, Chef Morimoto, has a restaurant in Philadelphia. And I go, Mark, why the fuck didn't you tell me that? And he goes, well, it gets out of my price range. I go, I would have bought dinner, Mark. That's the whole point. You meet me, and we would have gone and had dinner. I'm not going to make you go to, you're on a train. I know who you are. I'm not going to make you go pay at Morimoto's place. He's like, yeah, but I didn't think, we could go. And I go, no, fuck, dude, why? And then I almost wanted to go then. So I get in the hotel and I looked it up, and it's just this fancy, and it's fucking expensive. I mean, it's like $35 a plate. I mean, it is crazy. And that's minimum, like it's between 18 and 50. So I'm glad we didn't go because I would have spent $200. But then when Carlos was planning lunch, he's like, "Hey, we can go to Morimoto for lunch. You know it's open." And I go, "No, I want to go to this diner because I heard good things." So they brought me the macaroni and cheese pancakes were the special, and he goes, "Yeah, we'll make them. Well, you can get them at the short stack. It's just $2 extra for the mac and cheese to mix in." And I go, "I don't care, do it." So they brought it out, and you know me, I'm not a cheese guy. Like I'm not a freestanding cheese, but I love a macaroni and cheese. And so they bring the pancakes, and you could see the noodles in the pancakes. And there's syrup they brought with it. I don't want any syrup. I'm straight ahead. So I cut off a hunk with noodles and pancake, and I eat it. God damn. It was almost an impromptu pig in a blanket because I was going to wrap my dick in them. I mean, it was so fucking good. I bit it because it was the noodles were al dente, so they weren't soft, and then the cheese wasn't a runny cheese sauce. It was cooked into the batter, so it tasted like the top of the macaroni and cheese that gets a little crunchy but still really cheesy. It had that flavor. Like if you've ever eaten, if you go to a bakery, you can buy cheese rolls. And the cheese, what happens to the cheese within the bread? It happens that way within the pancakes. So the bread just has that cheese flavor. The pancakes tasted like cheddar cheese, but pancakes with vanilla, and the noodles were in it. Jeez, I can't describe it. It was so fucking good. I have a picture. I'll show you. I took 4 pictures of that to make it for the goddamn olive omelet I couldn't photograph. And then I got a biscuit. They had a homemade biscuit. So I got that, and so we're eating and we're talking. And I started talking. They asked me about the show and how often I do the show, and I started talking to Carlos about coming back and doing the show. And I said I'm going to be in St. Louis, but I think I'm changing the show, and I'm not sure. And doing the podcast, and so we're talking about me generally, and they're asking questions, and I'm answering them. And at the other end of the table, the baby gets breastfed again, and then she goes and takes him for a walk, but he doesn't cry at all. He was awesome. He was like the coolest baby ever. And she's bouncing him up and down, and Liv Tyler's there with her long, elegant fingers and amazing hands. And we're talking about the show. We're talking to Carlos about Latvia. I'm talking to David about his traveling, what cities he likes to go to. He loves New Orleans. He loves Las Vegas. He's on the road all the time. He's home for a week, and then he goes to Texas. Then he's home for a week, and he goes somewhere else. He's just traveling constantly. So we're making breakfast talk, guy talk at the table. And right when we sat down, when I heard there was no Scrapple, I go, "No fucking Scrapple," and there's a baby like a foot away, and I'm like, stupid, shut up, don't. So I cleaned it up. I didn't swear anymore because there's 2 ladies and a baby at the end of the table. So we talk a little bit, and then I get my breakfast, and I start to prepare my breakfast to eat it. And a woman at the end of the table, the older woman, looks, and she goes, "I'm sorry to interfere. I apologize for interrupting your meal, but did I hear that you do a show?"
Oh, no.
And I said, "Yeah, I do, actually." I said, and she goes, "Where is your show?" And I go, "Well, I was here in town last night." I said, "But I do a show. It's like a regular. It's on the internet." I go, "I don't know if you'd know what it is." And she goes, "Well, no. What is it? Is it? Are you a musician or?" I go, "No, I'm a comedian person. It's a comedy show." And she goes, "Oh, okay." She goes, "Where would I be able to hear your stuff?" And I said, "You don't want to hear my stuff." And she goes, "No, I enjoy comedy." And the girl goes, "Oh yes, she would enjoy it." I go, "Nah, you would not enjoy this show at all." And she goes, "Why? Why do you say that?" I go, "It's really rough." I go, "It's pretty raw and it's very salty. It's a lot of language." She goes, "Oh," she goes, "That doesn't bother me." She goes, the girl, it turns out it's her daughter-in-law. And she goes, "Oh, it wouldn't bother her." She goes, "No." She goes, I like to say things at the dinner table that shock my sons, and I say it because it's fun. I like to do that all the time." She goes, I'll say penis when we're cooking dinner, and it just, oh my gosh. And she goes, my son hit me with a dish towel once. He's like, "Don't say that," And she goes, so I don't mind. I certainly don't mind it. And I said, "Yeah, it's a little rougher than penis with a dish towel. It's just." I mean, I know what you're saying, and I appreciate that. She goes, "Where is your show?" And I go, "It's on the internet. It's a podcast." And her daughter-in-law knew what those were. And I said, "Yeah, it's a podcast. It comes out once a week." And she goes, "Well, what's your name?" I said, "Mike Schmidt." And she goes, "Your name?" She goes, "I'm Faith." I said, "All right, Faith." And she goes, "Yes." She goes, "Absolutely." She goes, I really like that kind of humor. I don't mind it when it gets a little crazy. That's fine with me." She goes, "Is it like so it's a PG rated show?" And I go, No, it's R rated, hard R. I go, "I swear a lot. I say the F word more than I say hello." I said, I'm being blatantly honest with you. If you want to listen to it, that's fine. I go, it's called The 40-Year-Old Boy. You can go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com. And I said, you know what? I'll tell you what. I just did a live show. I did a live show last night. I go, but I did a show at the Los Angeles Podcast Festival last week, and I'm actually selling it online. She goes, yeah? I go, yeah. I go, but I'll tell you what. If you send me your email address, if you find me at MikeSchmidtComedy.com and you send me an email, I will send it to you for free. I said, because I think it is a really good representation of what I do, and it's got everything that I do within the body of that show. So I said, if you listen to that and you like it, then you can hear the free stuff. Because you get listeners. I don't give a fuck. I'll bait a hook. You know what I mean? If she listens to that and she can get through it and she likes it. Because I'm serious. I'm proud of what I did at the podcast festival. And I think it shows what I do. It's got, I say fuck 1,000 times and then I tell a story. You know what I mean? So if she can get through that and she thinks it's funny, then by all means, go ahead. Shoot me an email and then you can listen to the free stuff. And her daughter-in-law's like, she's going to send you an email. And I said, I don't care. That's fine. So they got up to leave, and they were very nice, and they shook our hands, and they split. And Carlos looks at me, and he goes, how great would it be if the next time you came back to town, she was in the front row of the show? And David's like, if she shows up, you have to say penis and hit her with a dish towel. You have to. So if Faith is listening now, because she never sent me that email, so I didn't get to get her to the podcast festival. But maybe she said, you know what, I'll give his free show a day in court. Well, Faith, this is it. You've heard it. You know what it is. And this is for you. Cock, 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 cock. Say that. Say that. You don't want your son to hit you with a dish towel? Say cock. Say penis, he hits you with a dish towel. Say cock, he and leave Tyler and the baby will never see you again. You guys can get me at Mike and MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can be my friend at Facebook.com/the40-year-old-boy. You guys can follow me at Twitter at Twitter.com/the40-year-old-boy. You can follow our friend Lily Von Stupp, who produces the show, at two different Twitter accounts, Twitter.com/Lily Von Stupp and Twitter.com/MNTs. And if you'd like to write her a personal note and find out just how many pairs of pants she wore during this show, you can write her at Lily at burlesque411.com. That's Lily, Lili, at burlesque411.com.
Drink your coffee, don't hold some pencils, soak your frosty, hold more pencils, Thor Garvin Yeeper on these mugs, there's Flame Bush Mini on these mugs, go buy these wicked awesome mugs, at MikeSchmidtComedy.com, mugs, 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 mugs,
Want to remind you folks about the Monday Night Teas every Monday night at the 3 clubs on Santa Monica and Vine. The producer of that show, which is the longest-running burlesque show in the history of Los Angeles, the hottest, the sexiest, the most amazing show you will ever lay eyes on. The producer of that show, her name is Lily Von Stupp. She's sitting right here with me right now. Hey, Lily.
Hi, Michael.
How are you?
I'm good.
Fantastic. How are those? You were eating almonds earlier. Those okay? Everything's good?
Everything seems to be fine.
Fantastic news. How was the show this week?
It was great.
Yes.
Fantastic show. We had 3 birthdays that were guys. So we had 3 guys at the same time taking garters off of girls to take their souvenir garter belt home.
Whoa.
And it was great because Joy Buzzer was dressed as Bride of Frankenstein. And every time he tried to slide it down, she would shift her weight and fall, and he'd have to pick her
Oh, that's funny.
It was fucking hysterical. It took him almost 4 minutes to get a garter off of Poor guy. There's pictures and video of it on the Facebook Monday Night Teas site.
Facebook.com/Monday Night Teas, right? Cool. And that was the Dr. Zombo extravaganza, right? And there's a show this week also, but also a Halloween type. Part deux. Terrific. Is it a theme or just Halloween?
It's Halloween overall, yeah.
Awesome. So people can dress up?
Lots of great girls. We encourage dressing up. I may or may not have prizes for people.
Ooh, very nice. So dress up and go out to the Monday Night Teas this Monday night, which is the 28th, It's the 29th, right? Yeah. That's October 29th at the 3 clubs on Santa Monica and Vine. Are you involved? Are you dancing?
I'm hosting.
Hosting the show?
I'm hosting the show.
People can go and see Lily perform as a host and see her all dialed up, see Business Lily, and then Show Lily. And go there and dress up, and maybe there's prizes, and you can all look good. And there's always, come on, it's fucking Halloween. There's always hot girls trying to look slutty, so that's what you got to do. Go out there on the 29th at the Monday Night Teas and check it out. There are other shows coming up. If you go to brownpapertickets.com / I don't know, but if you look up Lily Von Stupp on brownpapertickets.com, you will find all sorts of shows available on sale in the coming weeks, including the Prince show in November, which I will be attending. And there's plenty of tickets available. If you go to MondayNightTees.com, there's all the information about the shows that are on sale as well, with direct links to Brown Paper Tickets.
Yes, sir.
So go to MondayNightTees.com for the direct links to the tickets themselves, or you can go to brownpapertickets.com and browse around, find Lily, and look at all the shows that are available there, and pick up tickets. Go and check out the shows because they will sell out, as they always do. The Prince show especially will sell out, and you can come up and say hi to me, and that'll be fun. Before we move on from that, and like I mentioned, there's always shows at the Monday Night Teas, and it's the longest running burlesque show here in Los Angeles. I want to talk to you a little bit about something at the Monday Night Teas is doing right now. They are, well, why don't you tell us what it is? It's a gallery showing. Is that what we're hearing?
Yeah, we have 9 years worth of performances. We have 27 different photographers who have shot the show over the years, and we're going to do a gallery retrospective of the show from the very first show to where we end right when we're ready to print.
So Lily's doing a gallery retrospective of 9 years of the Monday Night Teas with the collected works of 27 different photographers, selected photos and things like that. So you're doing an actual gallery show of those images.
Yes.
And there is a burlesque show tied into that as well.
There's a private party on my birthday, January 12th.
January 12th, and that's where?
That is at the gallery, the Perfect Exposure Gallery. If you donate $60, you get a ticket to that.
Let me get to that. Okay. If you go to indiegogo.com/MNT, you can support Lily's efforts to have her gallery show funded, which is going to be in January. There's a private burlesque show available on her birthday, January 13th. That's if you donate a certain amount. As you'll see, there are rewards, just like when we did Kickstarter. She's doing an Indiegogo, and there will be rewards for certain amounts, all sorts of amazing things that you can get there for the gallery showing that she's funding. Like I said, 9 years of the show, and what a great time to celebrate it with 27 different photographers, all of their photos being poured through now and picking the best shots, and then a private burlesque show with probably 6 performers from what I heard. Okay, so 6 performers will be doing that. If you donate $60, we know for sure you'll get a ticket to the private showing there at the gallery. The Perfect Exposure Gallery in?
It is in downtown Los Angeles on 6th Street.
Downtown Los Angeles on 6th Street. And, Lily's really proud of this show, and she should be because she works so hard. I see it firsthand. I see it here. I see it there at the club. I've been involved in the show. I've been lucky enough to be one of the performers and still ask, and hopefully will be in the future. So go to indiegogo.com/MNT and support the efforts Lily has to get her gallery show funded so she can have the people check it out, because I can't stress enough that Lily does this in a first-class way. A lot of people will go ahead and slapdash something, or they'll put together a show at a pool hall and they'll leave the TVs on. All sorts of bullshit happens. Lily, her job is the Monday Night Teas. She helps me here. I'm her hobby. But her job every week is the Monday Night Teas, and she does it extremely well. So go ahead and fund her at indiegogo.com/MNT and get rewards, do all that stuff. Go check it out and try to get into the private burlesque show with 6 different performers. That'll be fantastic. This show can't run without Lily. She is the producer, and she does all of the hard work on this end. The visual hard work and the audio hard work is done by my friend David Hernandez. David Hernandez, he's been my friend forever, as long as I can remember. Since I was 13 years old, I've known David, and he's the most talented guy I know. He's a true Renaissance man. He does music, he does artwork, and he's fucking hysterical. He's funnier than me, for Christ's sake. Well, my friend David worked for years at Leo Burnett Advertising Agency. He started in Paste Up, I think. I don't even know the terms. But eventually, by the end of it, he was on a storyboard team. You'd seen his work on television. He did all sorts of ad campaigns for Kellogg's and GM and Marlboro, tons of stuff. He worked with Alex Ross, who went on to create, who's drawing the iconic Superman in comics now. It was just a real all-star bullpen of guys doing artwork and storyboards and artwork itself, and David was a part of the team. Well, he's no longer a part of the team at Leo Burnett. Things have changed. David now works freelance, and he now has his website available now at artbydmh.com, artbydmh.com. He's available for any company that is looking for any sort of logo work. He can do quick storyboard turnarounds. It's honestly, even if you're someone who isn't going to hire him, it is worth going to artbydmh.com because you can see the work he's done in the past and see exactly what he's capable of. You see the work he does for me. He does those, I call him, this is not a joke, I call him at 7:30 my time, 9:30 his time in the evening to do the painting for the show. And then by 11 o'clock my time, which is 1 o'clock his time, I have a full watercolor painting representative of what we discussed. I'll hang up with him about 8:15, so it takes him 2.5 hours of turnaround time to put together the artwork that you see for the show just from the discussion we had where I tell him what's going on. He's designed the t-shirts. He's done all of the artwork for the show. He does the explosions of id. Everything you've seen for the show visually is David Hernandez. We will talk about it, and then he will send me 5 different things to approve, and I go, yes, because there's no reason for me to even argue with it, because everything he does is right in my wheelhouse. And if you go to his website, again, like I said, artbydmh.com, you will see his caricature work, you will see his storyboard work, things that he's done outside of the realm of the 40-Year-Old Boy podcast, and you'll see just how talented he is. He's available to be hired for freelance stuff. Obviously, he's going to charge a serious rate because he's been doing this for so long, and he's very, very skilled at what he does. So any companies out there who are looking for anybody to do any sort of visual work, and I can attest to his turnaround time being super quick, anything you would need from him, go to artbydmh.com and check it out right now. Hire David to help you out. I would love it. Because you know what? He's helped me for so long. If I even got him one job through this, I would feel so much better about myself as a person because he gives and gives and gives of himself. He does all the audio. He does all the visual. And the fact that I can get him any sort of work would be so beneficial and would make me so happy. So go to indiegogo.com/MNT and help fund Lily. Go to artbydmh.com and check out David's work. And if you can use him, great. If not, check it out and then go to his Facebook page and tell him how fucking amazing he is because he is just that. You can go to my facebook.com/the40-year-old boy page. There's all sorts of people who want to bring me to town. There's pages that exist. I want to come to town, probably not until 2013. And again, like I said, I'm revamping the show a little bit. But I am in St. Louis on November 18th at the Soulard Hall. Might be November 16th. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm there in November. It's a Friday, either the 16th or the 18th. Tickets are available at brownpapertickets.com. You can go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com and go to the Joe Business page, which, by the way, was created by David Hernandez. And all sorts of things available there. There's the download sets, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, or the podcast of the Caribbean set is available. There's t-shirts, Red Boy and Scar Panda. There's signed artwork from David Hernandez, autographed by me and Lily and David. There's, of course, the tweakedaudio.com/40 earbuds. Bruce has been very cool to this show. Go ahead and support them. And there's mugs available through the Zazzle store, Fireboy and Thorgar and Yeep, always available. And most importantly now, the newest thing, a lot of you have picked it up already, the Schmitty Comes Alive, 90-minute set from the Los Angeles Podcast Festival. If you go to the Joe Business page in the lower left-hand corner, there is a Schmitty Comes Alive album cover. Click on that. It'll take you to the PayPal link. Just $5 for a live show with a story that I will never tell on this show, and it is well worth it. I can tell you it is I consider the LA Podcast Festival, that is a perfect representation of what I do, and I think you should pick it up because it's really worth it as far as I'm concerned. You can donate to the show, upper left-hand corner of every page of the website as well. $2 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, $25 a month, or a one-time donation. I thank all of you for all of your continued donations, and I will get to saying names and thanking you in person, or at least here on the show, very soon. But I wanted to make sure I got the word across about indiegogo.com/MNT and also tell you about artbydmh.com. Those are available. Go and check them out now. And and by the way, how amazing was the fucking Talkbox Peter Frampton open thing that we used to open the show, the promo for the Schmitty Comes Alive? Fucking literally, David, last week, he does this to me all the time, and it's ridiculous. He's like, hey, I was thinking about soon doing some audio stuff. Like, I might do it. I'm not sure. And I'm just like, yes, you don't ever have to ask me. You could just send me a box full of tapes. I wouldn't care. I'd sort through them just to hear what you came up with. It's fine. So, he goes, well, with that Frampton thing, I was thinking about maybe doing something with the Talkbox, but I don't know. I have it, but I've never used it. And I said, well, yeah, whatever you want to do, whatever you come up with. I don't care. If you want to fake it or however you want to work it, we'll go through the keyboard. And a day later, he just sent me a note, and he goes, yeah, motherfucker, I learned the Talkbox over the weekend. And that was attached. And he learned how to do it over the weekend and made that promo. And then he's like, yeah, I was thinking about some other. Do it. Stop asking me. Just fucking do it, man. I'm in. I'm all over it. I can't do those things. All I can do is fucking talk, and people are tired of that. So anything we can tart the show up with musically or sonically or visually, you're in. Do it. It's your gig. And now I'm leaving, folks, after just berating myself. But I don't care. I'm out of here. I got to go home. You know what I'm watching? I like Halloween. Sweet Genius is back, which I'm very excited about. I watched it last week in the hotel room in Philadelphia. But I'm also watching the show called Halloween Wars. It's on Food Network. And all they do is they take pumpkin and cake and chocolate and candy and they turn it into scary things. And they make these gigantic sculptures of cake and pumpkins, and they hollow them out and they rip it. And I watched the show, and I used to do a joke in my act a long time ago when I talked about Double Dare. I said, I watched that show Double Dare, and by the way, that'll tell you how long ago this joke was. Okay, but the joke was, there's that show Double Dare, which they should call that show "Fuck You Somalia." I said, we're sending those people table legs and pillow stuffing neat, but in this country, if you make a 10-yard Green Beret belly crawl through 5 pounds of meatloaf, you want a BMX bike. Hey, great! It's a nice message to send to the world. Oh, you're hungry? Well, we'll get right on that. As soon as we're done having our strippers wrestle in waiting pools full of SpaghettiOs. We're the world's policeman, not its chef. But seriously, I can't, I watched the show Halloween Wars, and we're just throwing away cake and pumpkin and candy. And now it's not even like overseas that's pissed. I think fucking America is pissed. There's got to be homeless people here who are watching you throw away a giant cake shaped like a bug and going, I would eat the fuck out of that bug cake. What is wrong with you? Here, let me give you 3 condoms for a slice of that bug cake. I would enjoy it immensely. Because I think we all know that the magical homeless are passing out condoms to everyone on the street. Where did he get them? I still don't know where he got them. Do I dare use them? Like, I don't even use condoms anymore, but part of me wants to use them to see what happens. I don't know. Will I be magically transported to like Hobo Island? I don't know what's going to happen with the homeless condoms. That's the thing. That's what makes I should have told you. I packed them and brought them home. I had them on my desk. Yes, I was packing my room Saturday because I was checking out, and I just threw them in my shaving kit. But this is the best part. I threw them in the shaving kit. If Karen unpacks my shaving kit, she's going to go, why the fuck do you have condoms in your shaving kit? Because, she packed my shaving kit when I left, so she knows they weren't in there when I left. So she's going to wonder, why are you bringing home 3 condoms? How many did you buy? If you use them, it's going to be a fucking mess. I got to get home and empty my shaving kit. Holy shit, now that I thought about it. God damn it. Because is she going to believe the story of the magical homeless person? She's never going to believe that, right? No, honey, you're not going to believe it. I gave $3 to a guy, and he was homeless, and he was magical, and he gave me a handful of condoms. A passel full of condoms. He was like Willy Wonka. It was amazing. And she's going to go, are you telling me the truth? And I'm going to go, there's no earthly way of knowing. This story's showing signs of not slowing. I think my nose, it may be growing. Because I have a tone. Because you know why? Because I talk quickly and I don't fucking think. That's why. I think that's what it means when you have a tone. Is you don't fucking bother to care what comes flying out of your goddamn mouth. I try to grow the show and I want people to get on board and they're like, I listen to it and you talk too fast. Really, I talk too fast. How the hell else am I supposed to cram all of this into a small 3-hour window? Dude, there's no script. I just go with this shit on the fly. It makes me laugh. If it doesn't make you laugh, turn the fucking station. And by turn the station, I mean turn the wheel of your car right into a guardrail. Jesus fuck. Hey, where you going, boy, 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 boy?